What's up? What's up? A2HH live on a Monday. How we doing, Coop? How was your weekend,
What
bro?
up? Started a new gig.
Yeah.
Tired.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, tired but blessed.
You got an article out there too.
Yeah, I do. Voyage ATL reached out to me for their hidden gem section. Of course, talked about our relationship. I talked about us meeting via Holla on your 21st birthday.
Shout out to Holla.
Talk about our pre according to hip hop arguments on Facebook. I talked about me growing up in Charlotte and on the East Side and in Lithonia, and my older cousins Mario and Vici. Shout out to Vici who just turned 50 on Friday. Mario turns 46. What's today? The 11th.
Yep. No. Is today the 11th or is it like the 10th? I believe
it's the 10th. So
okay.
Mario turns 46 on Wednesday. I turned 42 in October. I talk about how they were really the hip hop heads who really kind of like put me on the hip hop, because one thing I realized when I was doing the interview was that, well, my introduction to hip hop was them. And then when they left and moved to Charlotte, all my hip hop disappeared until I moved to Charlotte and was back with them. And that's when I was like, they're the hip hop heads, not me.
What did they introduce you to first?
The Greatest Adventures of Slick Rick.
Okay.
I can remember. His name's Mark. We call him Vici. His name's Achille and Mark Vici. But Mark went to get his paycheck from this privately owned pizza shop that he used to work at in Lithonia when he was going to Lithonia High. It's 1989. I'm 8 years old, and he literally had just got The Greatest Adventures of Slick Rick when they came out. And I remember him popping the tape in my mom's Ford Bronco while we went to go get his check. And the first thing that came on was Treat Her Like a Prostitute. And it was like, it's like, okay, I never heard anything like this before. And, very fortunate that Cuz put me on to one of the greatest albums ever in my first real music listen. But Ghetto Boy's Mind Playing Tricks on Me, he used to play a lot. He was big like on the Atlanta kind of like early Booty Shake Miami bass scene. So he's a 2 Live Crew fan. He's one of them dudes that used to be practicing the yeek all the time. That old school Atlanta. A lot of dancing
going on in Atlanta.
Yeah, it used to be Atlanta Live. You remember Atlanta Live and all that? Yeah, he used to sneak out the house and like go to that stuff.
Yep.
So it was like I was getting like my traditional hip hop from him, but I was getting like my ATL from him too.
It's interesting, man. A lot of people don't realize this. I mean, because hip hop's grown so much. I know we're celebrating hip hop 50 this year, but when it comes to like the recording side of it, we're talking about like really 81, 82-ish.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about just a few acts there. So it really doesn't start flowing until like 86, 87. And then radio doesn't really start embracing hip hop until about the mid 90s. So your only way of really getting into hip hop in most markets was if you had older siblings or older family members.
Right.
It wasn't like you could go to the radio or even TV at that time and get your hip hop fix. Rap City and Yo MTV Raps were really important in that light. But other than that, yeah, it was tough.
Well, this is what I mean. It made me realize it's like, no, I found out about Yo MTV Raps because of him too.
Yeah.
And Mario's the one that put me on the tribe, and I talked about how Mario was really the first. I don't know if there were other producers on the west side of Charlotte before Cuz. I just remember that like our part of West Boulevard changed musically when Cuz went and got a beat machine. You know what I'm saying? He bought it from a pawn shop up on Freedom Drive. That's west side too. My first job was on Freedom Drive. And I just remember it kind of changed everything for us. It's like dudes started popping up to come into my cousin's room to freestyle. You know what I'm saying? And
so you had hip hop all around you.
Right, I had hip hop all around me. Cuz Mario's the one that put me on to Tupac. You know what I'm saying? When I moved up to Charlotte was around the time Strictly for My Niggas came out.
Shout out to Stephon Young with the first super chat of the day, man. Appreciate the love. He didn't have a comment. He just, showing love. I mean, I remember in my neighborhood, it was Jason and Lucas, these two, brothers. They actually weren't brothers. And I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. But Jason used to carry his boombox around, and he had everything. Like, my first time pretty much hearing any and everything coming out hard, 8-Ball MJG, it was through his, his stereo system.
Right.
Even East 1999.
They were both LL fans, too. I think the first video that I ever practiced the dance steps to was Bad by I'm LL Cool J. So when they would leave, because Lithonia, I went to Rockbridge, so I was still in elementary school. They were in middle and high school, so they would go to Lithonia, and they'd have to leave before me. But I would pop the little I'm Bad tape in, because I'm Bad starts off with I'm Bad, and I would jump off my bed and like practice the dance. And like when he starts off and he jumps, no,
yeah.
rap. And I used to do all that, and crush you like a jelly bean part, that was the hard part. I can remember all of that.
I feel like LL, for a lot of people in that era, had to be people's first favorite rapper.
Well, let's go to what you're saying. Well, people really didn't, and not trying to knock L in any way. Well, people
Yeah.
didn't really have a choice because when you talk about the recording process at 81 and 82, you're talking about kind of like the embryonic stages. It's kind of like having a baby, and the
Yeah.
baby don't start really walking and talking and moving until it's about 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we are with hip hop albums. So even though it kind of started recording around 79, 80, 81, it's not till LL in 85 that
Yeah.
you hear the baby walking and talking and moving around. So yeah, of course.
I mean, I
And
feel
Slick
like
Rick
he's
too.
the,
Slick Rick too,
yeah.
because of Lottie Dottie in the show.
But he didn't have a full-length effort like LL did. I think that
that's
the
Def
only
Jam.
person before him from a solo aspect is Curtis Blow. And I don't know how modern Curtis Blow, I mean, I guess how that translated moving forward, right? I think LL is something different than a Curtis Blow. Is that fair to say? Because I think that
Where LL's transcended
Yeah.
to is something different, but if you look at it early on, it's like actually Curtis Blow's a bigger hit maker than L early on.
oh yeah,
So
bigger hit maker.
It's
But
really, it's really not till L switched to Steez. Like I Need Love is really what changed things before for L. If you really want to know the truth, for better and
Yeah.
for worse. Like it was for worse at the time, but for better in the long run because he was actually ahead of the curve.
the solo artists at that point, right? Because, obviously Run DMC doing their thing, Sugar Hill Gang's doing their thing, Grandmaster Flash Furious 5 doing their thing. And let me know if I'm missing anybody for the people out there. I think as
Houdini,
far
like
as,
you always mention.
yeah,
You always
Houdini,
bring up
of
Houdini.
course, yeah, Houdini is huge. But I'm saying as far as solo acts, we got Kool Moe D, you got Curtis Blow, and then comes LL, right? I mean, because Grandmaster Cass isn't coming out with records.
Right, neither is Busy B, I don't think.
And Melly Mel's in the group. So it's like, yeah, LL's kind of like
mean,
you said,
and Mo
has
D-
to be your favorite.
And Mo D was
rapper.
part of a group too.
He was. Treacherous 3.
Treacherous 3.
Yeah. Let's see. We got CJ Kidd with the super chat says, is there criteria for being underrated? Stefan Young with the super chat says, will Mike and Coop do an EP? We should do that.
No, I'm with that. I mean, I know we both can. I was thinking like, since we're
Send us
just,
some beats, guys.
right. Well, since we're just having this nostalgic kind of like hip hop conversation that's based on the Voyage ATL article that I did, what's the next beat that you think you would want to rhyme over? Because like for people that don't know, I picked the Respiration beat and was like, hey, I think this is a great cipher beat. And the reason that I picked it is like, well, I didn't really hear anybody catch wreck over this beat, but I always thought the beat was great, and it's arguably the best song on that album, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it is the best
It
song
is the
on the
best
album
song on
by
that
far.
album.
I think it's the best song they ever made, personally. But
I agree. And so, I was like, well, I want to pick up something that like degree of difficulty is strong,
yeah.
but also too, not too many people have riffed off of it. It's like people are like, oh, well, rhyme over the grinding beat. It's like, well, me and like 97
Nah.
other MCs like 2 weeks after it came out.
Nah. And I know there's a lot of woo stuff that we don't want to touch. I think Mobb Deep stuff when I think of like freestyle beats, like, Hell on Earth, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. That's a good one. But where I was going to go, though, I mean, and we can think of some beats
I told you
and
that.
give us some suggestions
Like,
out there.
you want to know what? This is what I mean. And I've been thinking about this. It's like part of why remember when I hit you and I was like, what do you think about rhyming over the Meth versus Chef beat? Because Meth used to be your favorite rapper.
Yeah.
Ray used to be my guy.
I'm down with it.
And I think it like is like kind of like there's a lot of hip hop essence in that record, and it's one of those underrated records that when you first hear it on Takal, you're like, oh, this is just okay. But you actually go back and listen to the beat and go back and listen to them. It's like, no, these guys are all time great, and that beat is actually really, really dope. It's one of RZA's more underrated beats.
I'm gonna go back and check.
Like there's a reason that it's Meth versus Chef. They were fighting for the beat. There's a reason they're fighting for the beat, Mike.
I think that we should go with that one then. I'm with it.
They were fighting for the beat, and Meth won, so it ends up on Meth's album. I had never seen anything like that. It's like, are they rapping against each other for the beat and putting it out for public consumption that they're rapping? Because
Right.
at the end, you hear Ray go, oh, shit, like he knows that he lost. Right, he knows, because Meth does a little riff on there when he's freestyling. Talking about the stuffy, achy, hitchy head fever, sucker. I think it's bad.
Nothing else crazy.
Slobbing on my knob like an all day suck. When he hit that flow switch and then punched it at the end, it was like, ooh.
36 Chambers with the super chat says the criteria for underrated MCs question is a solid one. Since there are MCs who do make top 50 lists that still don't get their due in the mainstream space, how are we defining underrated? Well, let's start there. If we want to just go into it, based on everything we just said and the way that LL is
People
held
saying
in
the
this
volume's
culture.
low, Ron.
Is the volume low?
Yeah, people saying the volume low. Good,
Let's
turn
check on
turn
that.
my mic up, son. Turn my mic up.
The
yo.
volume's low all around, or just
Just a couple people in the chat. We just want to make sure we're
okay.
hitting our
Let's
levels.
make sure we good.
This is
with
the first
sound.
Monday in studio too, so we're gonna give Ron some flex, even though.
CJ Kidd with the super chat says, since you guys like Meth and Ray, then just do a Coop versus Mike. Sure, we can do that. I mean, that's on that beat.
It would technically be Mike versus Coop because I believe Meth went first.
Yeah. We can
But
do that.
that's just something to think about. But I want to hear your thoughts about it too. Like I realized when we did the first cipher, it was like I didn't enjoy it until people enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh no, people like it. It's like now I want to do it again.
Oh yeah, we're brushing off the rust or whatnot.
Oh yeah, this verse is going. Like, how about this? We do this again. Yeah, this shit about to be way different.
Yeah, it's gonna be way better. What I was gonna say though, because I see some people saying stuff like Ludacris is underrated. I think I saw somebody say LL is underrated.
That's wild.
Do you think
on both accounts?
I think on both accounts, especially the Luda, and and no disrespect, and we'll get to that too. But because I love Luda, but do you think that LL Cool J is underrated somehow?
No, it's not possible. Because here's what I mean: like people like CL Smooth is underrated.
He's on my list.
Tosh from the Alcoholics.
Tash, yeah, I love Tash. Yeah, I love
Tash from the Alcoholics.
And I forgot to mention Tash. I love Tash.
Underrated.
But you know what? I kind of went to the Alcoholic crew with one of my picks, Exhibit. I think Exhibit's extremely underrated.
Okay, I was actually about to go to Hieroglyphs right kick. Casual and Dell, the funky Homo sapien. Underrated. Though Mario put me on Casual and Dell in '93 when I moved to Charlotte. I didn't even know who Hyro was before then. And around this time, and this is when Players Ball is playing, he's like, yeah, they sound like these Hyro niggas.
They did.
So I'm looking at him like, I don't even know who Hieroglyphics is, nigga. Like, what are you talking about? Fat Lip from the Far Side is underrated. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you want to go underrated, it's like, that's what underrated looks like.
So underrated looks like to you people who are nice that massive amounts of people might not know are nice.
Like, how about this? I look at somebody who's underrated as in, like, when you hear somebody lyrically spar with somebody you know and you don't know who that other person is, they're probably underrated. You know what I'm saying? That's why AZ was underrated for so long. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, well, he spars with Nas all the time. And it's like, but even with A, you got to look at it. It's like, well, how underrated is A? How many niggas from New York is walking around with a platinum single?
Yeah, exactly. I think that AZ...
Not album, single.
AZ and Black Thought used to be in this conversation, and I don't think
they're out.
Yeah, they get the respect they deserve.
How about this? Do you think Beans is underrated?
I thought about that. Let me finish this LL notion
Beans
real
doesn't
quick.
have the public and the national notoriety, but that's what I mean about rhyming next to somebody. Oh no, Beans can rhyme next to anybody who ever lived, and most people don't know that.
I want to get into the Beans thing because I know this is a real elaborate conversation. Hold on, we got a super chat real quick. John Phillips with the super chat says, Brother Lynch Hung from the Bay is crazy underrated.
Yeah, know about Brother Lynch.
But see, I think with people like Brother Lynch Hung, they have their audience. I feel the same thing about Currency. Like, I can't really say Currency's underrated because he's appreciated by the people that he makes music for. And I feel like Brother Lynch Hung is similar to that as well.
How about this? You know Larry June had a show at the Tabernacle here yesterday?
I know. Yeah, me and Will was talking about going.
I didn't know. A couple of old friends of mine came into the new spot just on the humble and was like, yeah, cool, we about to go to the Larry June show. I'm like, Larry June down here? I'm like, let me see if I can
get on. I found out last minute.
Let me see if I can get on.
36 Chambers with the super chat says, Andre Nicotina is an underrated MC. We got CJ Kidd with the super chat says, Wordsworth is super underrated. Yeah, Wordsworth's nice.
Yeah.
All right, this is the thing with LL, right? So for all the things that LL...
You can't have all of those hits and all those gold and platinum plaques and be underrated. I'm sorry. If you don't... There's a difference between maybe not getting your appropriate rating in history and being underrated.
So you think underrated and underappreciated are two different things?
Two different things.
So you think that LL's more underappreciated than underrated? Because I think that, yeah, he does fit that. Because I think people don't really appreciate his impact as much as they should.
See, that's one of those things that I think maybe the public doesn't appreciate the impact, but I think the artists do, because you hear so many artists who come from the era right after him who get notarized maybe more than him now. Talk about it's like, oh, I was just watching LL interviews or watching LL videos or I wanted to make, records like LL and like be bigger, you know what I'm saying? And like he is the blueprint and the model for a lot of things. So I think within the circle of his contemporaries, he is endeared and appreciated, and I think that's kind of worth maybe a little more because the public doesn't always have it right. You know?
Why do you think he's not in these top 10 type conversations?
He's not a top end lyricist, Mike.
Okay.
We just have to be honest about it. Lyrically speaking, not that guy. Like, you want a dope song? L, like one of his best things he ever said, you want to give me an hour plus a pen and a pad? Oh, that's real shit. That's where his gift is. But asking him to spar with, I mean, let's pull up the people who he's next to right quick.
Well, let's think about even for his time, right?
Like
is he nicer than Melly Mel? Is he nicer than, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
he's never been nicer than Mel or Slick on the mic. Those would be, you know what I'm saying?
Or Cass, or Kool Mo D for that matter. Is he nicer than Kool Mo D bar for bar?
He nicer than Mo D.
Okay.
Yeah. But a lot of people from that era don't agree with that.
A lot of people would, you know,
a lot of people feel like
that.
he lost that battle. Like people from Mo
lyrically
feel like he lost that battle. So they're like, well, you won that on fame, on notoriety, because everybody knew LL and didn't nobody really know Mo D like that outside of core hip hop circles.
I would probably have the same argument with Mo D. I think that Mo D might be a little bit more underappreciated as well than underrated.
When we saw him live with the other guys, you know that he's not a KRS or a Kane or a Rakim, but you forget how nice he was. Though.
Yeah, he's a generation before them too.
And there's a reason that he's opening, like, because he is a great person to set it off for that era, for that usher to come through. So let's just look at it right quick. This is what I mean. So we got LL at 10.
Right.
The only people even around him, I'm sorry, matter of fact, no, Mike, there's nobody that we have. I would have to go, Snoop and LL are the only people in our top 15 that aren't like crazy nice on the mic. Like crazy nice. It's Nas, Jay-Z, Tupac, Ice Cube, Rakim, Biggie, Snoop, Chuck D, KRS, LL, Slick Rick, Scarface, Ghostface, Raekwon, Common, and Kane at 16. Nah, L can't rap with none of those guys except for Snoop if you're talking bar for bar. I'm sorry.
I still think,
Like-
you know how I love LL.
L
I
can
think
make, like-
Snoop's nicer, honestly.
He is. Like, L, how about this? L might make a better song than Ray, but if you put Ray and L on a track together, that is not going to go the way a LL fan wants. You know what I'm saying? You put him on a track with Common, no, that ain't about to work in his favor. He don't want to do that with KRS.
But
you don't want to do that with Chris.
Him being a better song maker than many of these people, do we not give him, points for that? Or you're saying that the reason why he's not in these conversations,
the reason why he's not in those conversations is because of that, but the reason he's number 10 is about his ability to make a great song.
That's fair.
Like think about this. He really doesn't have what I like to call an undisputed classic where everybody walking around is like, that's that shit. No, he don't have that. He got people from certain eras saying certain things are classic. So think about it. So somebody that's not considered to be a top 20 lyricist, somebody doesn't have a top 20 rap album, but he's 10 on our list. You damn right he's a good songwriter because that's how he made this list.
You know what I noticed, man, when we start doing these song-for-song matchups? Some of the greats have albums where you could pull 7 or 8 songs from that album. LL doesn't have that album where you're going to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to beat you with this album. It's all spread out, you know what I mean? And that's a cool thing, too.
That speaks to his songwriting skills.
Right.
Because his songwriting gift did not leave. But here's the problem. You know which album he probably played the most joints from?
Probably Mr. Smith.
Correct.
Or Mama Said Knock You Out.
Correct. No,
One of those
There's only 2 records to play on Mama Said Knock You Out that's really about to do some damage. Maybe 3.
Yeah, you got Mama Said Knock You Out. You got Booming System, Around the Way Girl.
Done.
I feel like I'm missing
but on Mr. Smith, and I'm not joking, like, no, you got Hey Lover. You got the Loungin' remix. You got the I Shot Your remix. You got Doing It. That's 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he has another album where it's like you got 4 records and it's like, nah, he can win with all 4 of those. And, like, that's the only album like that. And that's the problem maybe because...
Not even Bigger and Deffer, because Bigger and Deffer gives you I'm Bad, you got I Need Love, and he's not going to do the doo-wop, Get Down, Candy, or Go Cut
and then
Creator
Walking
Go.
Like a Panther is Jingling Baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then what? What's after that?
I want to go to Mama Said Knock You Out real quick. He got Booming Systems, Round the Way Girl.
And Mama Said Knock You Out.
Yeah, Mama Said Knock
Mama
You Out.
Said Knock
Jingling
You Out is
Baby remix, too.
Nah, give me Jingling Baby.
Yeah. Yeah, Jingling Baby's crazy.
Jingling Baby's crazy.
That's 4 records right there.
Right.
But that might not be a definite because you might not even do
like, how about
System.
this? We know this for a fact. Doing It, Lounging, Hey Lover and I Shot Your remix? No, those are 4 of his 20 best songs, Mike.
I agree with that.
Ain't even a question about that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and so
Because I think Hey Love is probably stronger than Booming System for most people. I like Booming System more, but it's more notable.
I don't, and I'm going to tell you why. You want to know how? When I talk about L's songwriting gift, go listen to Hey Lover.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like nothing against the people coming after him, like a Ja Rule or a Nelly, who can make a hit like that. They can't write like that for 3 verses, Mike. Not in that format for a song. I touched you softly with my hand. We talked about traveling to distant lands, escaping all the madness out here in the world, becoming my wife, no longer my girl. You know what I'm saying? When Ja Rule's always on time, he's like, believe me, the pimp game is very religious, and I'm built like a Don Bishop. You get what I'm saying?
They're all over the place.
They're all over the place with they talk game. When L locks in on a theory and a theme, 3 verses about it and a hook. You want a hit, give me an hour plus a pen and a pad. And he might be the best person at that.
CJ Kidd with the super chat says Lloyd Banks and Guru are underrated. Guru being underrated. What do you think about that?
Borderline. Only because Gangstar doesn't get enough notoriety, and I don't know if they hung any platinum up on the wall. But once again, it's like, this is what I mean. I think Moment of Truth is a top 20 rap album.
Yeah.
So ain't no underrating somebody that makes a top 20 rap album when hip-hop's been around for 50 years and we've been making records pretty much as long as you and I have been around for about 40 years.
Right.
So it's like, is they underrated? Didn't he make Mass Appeal? It's like,
Mass Appeal is highly regarded.
It's highly, highly regarded. Outside of hip-hop circles.
This is what I would say, though. I think that he could probably catch that CL Smooth thing, too, where it's like the Gangstar notoriety seems to go more to Premier than him. And so, and we don't even talk about his Jazzmatazz efforts, which are really dope as well.
That's what I was about to say. Remember Watch What You Say with Shaka Khan?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, how about this?
I'm fine with Guru being considered underrated.
Here's my problem with Guru being underrated. More notarized than CL Smooth, but not as nice on the mic technically as CL Smooth.
I thought that was just a personal preference of mine, but yeah,
no. CL Smooth's a better MC than Guru.
I never thought I would hear you say that as a Gangstar fan.
I'm a big Gangstar fan, but and I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't love Pete Rock and CL Smooth's catalog like that. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna tell you the truth.
I love their catalog.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. Me and Taj, we're actually arguing about this Hit Boy thing, and I'm like, you taking Pete Rock over Hit Boy? I was like, because I'm not. And I told her why. I was like, because them Pete Rock and CL Smooth projects, they not like that. Them Gangstar projects is like that.
And now, Main Ingredient is like that.
How about this? Like, where would Main Ingredient fall on Gangstar's catalog, though? Because it would be third in my opinion.
It would be second to me, in my opinion.
No. I think. How about this? That's where we defer. I don't think Main Ingredient is like that. It's a solid 4.
I love Main Ingredient.
Both of their projects are solid 4s to me, and nothing more. Gangstar got classic shit to me.
Okay. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, your old Drugs is another. Drews, yeah, I'm sorry. Is another notable underrated.
He made one of the best projects a couple years ago that we talked about, yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like Earl Sweatshirt out here.
Yeah.
Earl be doing his thing. Yeah, there's so many
guys.
But
see, those guys.
The climate's so different now, it's hard to choose. But I know somebody telling you that Ludacris is. What, underrated? No, that's ludicrous. That motherfucker went triple platinum.
He was selling.
He was outselling everybody.
Yeah.
Damn near.
He was multi-platinum every single time.
He was multi-platinum multiple times.
Well, let's address that. Hold on 1 second. Max with the super chat says Big L's underrated. I think listen, this thing about Big L, he just doesn't have enough to go on. I can't really say he's underrated.
I don't like the L pun thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not enough.
I think that L gets a lot more props. I don't want to say that he should, but based on the amount of work he has, I think that he gets a good enough amount of props. I'll put it that way.
Here's what I'll tell you, and I actually, I believe I did a short about this and put it up on YouTube about the first and only time that I saw Biggie and Big L. They were right next to each other at Summerfest, or it might have been Springfest in Charlotte, when I was in 8th grade, and I skipped school to go see them. Like, specifically those two guys. And they were in a tent right next to each other. And this is 94, 95? It's 90. Hold on, let me see. 7th grade, 93 into 94. Yeah, this is 95. And I went to Big L's tent first. Because in the streets, as far as spit game goes, oh no, Big L was considered to be closer to a Nas or a Tretch or a Rakim than Big was at the time. And in hindsight, that's when the shots rang out, and I got Big L's autograph, and Biggie ran. But it was one of those things. I went to L because spit-wise at the time could spit better than Big, and that wasn't like coming from me. That was like the New Yorkers in Charlotte that was like on L like that. Yeah.
Leroy Green with the super chat says Leroy Green featuring Mike and Coop very problematic. We got to give it to the people. We got to
know what,
Let's
Leroy,
get it done.
Leroy, you can catch a verse from me. I'll give you a verse.
CJ Kidd with the super chat says Cannabis and Big L pre-death are underrated. BCM with the super chat says did LL have the best verse on I Shot Ya?
Hell no. That's what I'm. How about this? If you want some evidence of who L is and who he is not,
look at the posse cuts.
No, not even look at the posse cuts. Go look at the I Shot Ya regular version and go look at the I Shot Ya remix. The I Shot Ya remix is one of the best songs on Mr. Smith. Okay? And it's great.
I like the original too.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. Yeah. I love the original. It's one of those things that showcases L's full song making ability. Now, when you transfer that to the remix, well, Keith Murray has a better verse, Prodigy has a better verse, and Foxy has a better verse. So you're 4th out of 5th on your own remix song. But the song with you by yourself is brilliant and shows all of your wonderful gifts, but you put him in that ring and ask him to spar with some dudes, like that's a prime Keith Murray.
I think the Foxy Prodigy is debatable.
How about this?
But it's even third or fourth.
How about this? Her delivery is better than his delivery, and he's already had more time with this beat in this record.
What the fuck? I thought I conquered the world, crushed Mo D, Hammer, and Ice-T's girl. Still, niggas want to instigate shit. He came through on there.
No, name the spot. I make it hot for you, bitches.
Female rappers too.
I don't give a fuck, boo.
Andrew Green with the super chat says Sauce Money. He went bar for bar with Jay many times. Now I like the Sauce Money pick.
Not without just talking about this Beans thing.
Sauce, but see, this is the thing.
How about this? Sauce ain't never stunted on Jay like that. No. Beans done stunted on Jay. Beans done stunted on everybody.
The thing is, Sauce doesn't have his own catalog.
Beans stunted on Kiss's own beat when Kiss was the hottest thing in the street. I don't think people understand. Like, no, he took his beat and was like, no, let me go ahead and deconstruct that and rip that apart and proceeded to rhyme for 5 minutes nonstop on it.
He beat Jadakiss in the battle.
No, handily.
Yeah, he rhymes with Scarface and Jay in their primes.
At ease.
He has his own catalog.
Yes. And
we don't talk about him in a top 30 type of conversation. So yeah, I could see how he could be
I feel about
underrated.
You want to know what's crazy is that even when he was at his peak like that, I wasn't even the biggest Beans fan in my family. My brother Rico, like that game, Rico was the Beans fan. He's the one. He's like, he's like Beans top 3. I'm like, well, there's Nas and there's Jay. I was like, you think that? He was like, who? And I was like, Scarface. He was like, I'll give you that. Top 5. And I was like, who else you got? Keep in mind, this is like 2000, 2001. 2002, and it's like only thing I could give him. Think about what I had to give him when I'm saying somebody's better than Beans. I was like, well, Nas is better, Jay is better, Scarface is better. Mark, that's a lot of people's top 3.
Yeah. Well, you know me. I lean on the catalog, right? I think the catalog is extremely important, whether it be albums, whether it be songs. And I've been very vocal on this show that Beans worked with a handicap in the sense where he wasn't going to get the best production because the guy who ran his label was in his prime, and any great production was going to go to him, i.e. the Blueprint, right? And the fact that Beans was able to make the catalog that he did with those 3 albums under those circumstances, I have to put that in account. And I think that, he can go in that underrated slot. Because imagine what Beans looks like if he is, quote unquote, the franchise, right? And the label is giving him the best production, and he's able to make a Blueprint. He couldn't make the Blueprint because production-wise, the Blueprint was going to go to Jay.
How about this?
It just is what it is.
It's one of those things where who's the second best player you've ever seen on a team? Like, truly.
What do you mean, like NBA. Best number 2?
Who's the best number 2 that you ever saw?
That's tough
I already know
say.
Who my best number 2 is. And most people already should probably kind of know it. They're just not saying it.
Best straight up number 2.
Even if it's only for a period of the career, because most number 2s who were like number 1s do become number 1s eventually at some point. Like James,
the first ones that's coming to my mind are Penny Hardaway and Pippen. Okay. Are the ones that are coming to my mind off top.
Right. And I figured you were going to go that way.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm trying to submit to you about what Beans was about to become. Beans isn't even those guys. Beans is Kobe from the first
Uh-huh.
Lakers finals run.
Yeah.
He's young Kobe
Yeah.
to Shaq. Yeah, you got a guy that's up here putting up like 36 and 20 and shooting 60% from the floor. So he's the man, and that's Jay. But every time it seems like that other guy goes out and that other guy raps, like remember the Indiana game when Shaq got hurt?
Yeah.
And Kobe looked at him and was like,
I got this.
I got this.
Yeah.
That's Beans. So I look at Beans the way I look at Kobe from the 3 title teams, as in, oh, if it wasn't for that guy being like all time,
Yeah.
clearly the man. And then what happened? Kobe
Kanye comes. Oh.
Talking about Kobe. Kobe became the man,
Yeah.
and even in most people's mind, exceeded Shaq. And had Beans got that chance, that's exactly what I think could have happened.
Think he would possibly exceed it, Jay?
How about this? I have Shaq and Kobe right next to each other, and I have Shaq slightly ahead, but that's because it's 3 rings as the man versus 2 rings as the man, but they're right next to each other, in my opinion. And I do think, although it would have been hard for Beans to exceed Jay because of style of rap.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, Jay's adaptability is something
But sitting them right next to each other at the end of it, no, I think that's total possibility. I told you this guy is a top 5 talent. So if he would have got an opportunity to be a commodity on somebody's label where, you know, one of the 2 or 3 greatest MCs wasn't already there, yes, I think he would probably be in the top 5.
I think Jay's work ethic is more Kobe, where Bean's work ethic might have been more Shaq. And I think that Jay was going to outwork.
I think Beans might be more gifted than Jay naturally on the mic, too, though. That's what I'm
if
saying.
If it weren't for that incredible memory, I could agree.
No,
I think that he
I
had
said on the mic, not in your mind.
Oh, okay.
See what's happening in your mind?
Okay.
And keep in mind, he taught Beans that, which is why Beans' album, after he learned how to do it, was his best album. That's what I mean. Like, The Becoming is Beans' best album. Beans is talking about the process before. He was like how he had stopped writing his shit like Jay did because it was making his flow sicker. On The Becoming, on It's On, he out-rapped Jay. That's why I'm saying.
You think he out-rapped him? I don't know about that. They were pretty even.
You can't beat the towers with Tom Domovich or Osama bombing shit. We slay nigga with K's. We the drama man. Get it right. Young Scrap, don't even try it, boy. You'd rather slide down a razor blade sliding, boy? No, he ain't out rap.
I don't know, man. Jay came with some bars on there.
That's the Jay that you're talking about, like in his prime. Like, think about when he's like, this is Jay every day, no days off. Ferris Bueller, nigga. Nah.
BC, Fred Krueger
niggas. Nightmare, your medulla, nigga. Yeah, he rapping better than Jay.
Because I glue a jigger. Nah, it's like start off fast and you're wheezing in the back. He said, I got enough leeway. Put out the reason by the Mac, Philadelphia freeway, and I'm back without leaving. I'm here, but you can't see him. I gave you the blueprint, but you can't be him. So no matter what you've been told or the record you sold, deep inside you know that there's only one hole.
First of all, when he
Young Vito, voice of the young people, come on.
First of all, that's not that great.
If my life's a movie, the sequel gonna be the sequel?
No. That's not that. First of all, that's not that great. You're overrating that. And also, too, the Stillmatic verse where Nas is talking about going through Philly, yeah, that's a play on that. So that's not even that original. When he's flipping it, well, you just got flipped on in a battle and lost that. So it's like you using the same verbiage that your competitor used against you on a record. Where you getting out-rapped?
I gave you the blueprint, but you can't be him.
Well, that's a lie, too, because KRS already made an album called Blueprint. That's why I'm saying when you really go back to the bars, like think about this, Mike. Yeah, it sounded good that he said you starting off strong, but you wheezing in the back. Yeah, that sounded good then. How it sound now, Mike?
Good then.
Yeah, how Beans' verse sound now. Like Beans' verse is holding. Ain't nothing changed about it because Beans out-rapped him on the record. People just need to accept it. Yeah.
John Phillips with the Super Chat says, very underrated producer, Easy Mo B. Most definitely. I agree with that. DJ Bruce Almighty with the Super Chat says, Joe Budden is underrated. He actually can rap. He can actually rap. But if you tell someone you listen to Joe, people will actually laugh. LOL. Joe is nice. Joe is nice.
Joe is nice. And Joe is very nice and always has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aurora Holmes with the Super Chat says, the truth, the reason, the becoming. And Public Enemy #1 mixtape. Beans is that guy. Plus Spit with Jay and Scarface. For sure.
Let's say it again. With ease. That's a prime Jay and Scarface. That ain't no regular room you walking in.
I mean, it sounds like he's right in there with them. Like, he doesn't sound like the weakest link. Like, there are groups that you listen to when it's clear who's the weakest rapper in the group, right? When those three are on the song together, It's perfect, and it doesn't feel like anybody is the weakest link there.
I told you on the 3 songs that they did together, I felt like they all got a one-up on each other.
I agree.
This Can't Be Life belongs to Face.
Yep, I agree with that.
Somehow, some way.
That's Beans.
I think that's Jay. I think it's Beans on Guess Who's Back.
I think Guess Who's Back is Jay.
See, I think Guess Who's Back. Guess Who's Bazak? It's the boy B, Miss Zach.
The way Jay set that shit off.
Jay set it off, but this is what I mean about Beans' delivery, man. It's just something really, really wicked about it that's natural.
He got the break, too. I wish we could have gotten a whole album from those guys, man.
I just would have, how about this? I just would have taken, how about this? Imagine if Beans would have got Kanye's beats.
I mean, he would have if it wasn't, you know.
Man, hold on.
The Blueprint production, from what I understand, was meant for Beans, actually.
I mean, how about this? When you listen to You Don't Know, you know why part of why you love that so much? That don't sound like it was made for Jay.
You don't think so?
It don't sound like it was made for Jay. Even listen to how he come. I'm from the streets where the hood's a swallow, and so much. That's even Beans' pause, but whatever, pause.
You think so? I don't think I could hear Beans on there, to be honest. Maybe because I didn't.
Right. Jay has that type of persona where he can
took
take
the
over.
song.
He can take over, literally.
Yeah.
But Beans, how about this?
Because The Rock, the song, the Cam song, that sounds similar to You Don't Know. I mean, Just Blaze Again, but Beans did his thing on there.
You talking about that one?
Yeah.
Cam has the best verse on there.
You can't. Oh yeah, he does.
But yeah,
I could just kill a man for Killer Cam. Me and my rock. Yeah.
But that might be the best verse of Cam's career, in my opinion, too.
That's my favorite Just Blaze beat.
That's
I think
favorite
highly
verse.
of that record. Yeah,
it could
Cam
be April
killed that
1st,
shit.
sound like July 4th. I was like, oh, this nigga nice.
Yeah, he going in. All right, so what's your underrated list look like, though?
Well, hold on. I want to
Go
finish
ahead.
his Beans thought because Beans is at the top of my list.
Okay.
And here's why Beans is at the top of my list. And now I'm bringing up the Kanye thing. You see what Kanye did for Common?
Mm-hmm.
You see what he did for Pusha T?
I was hoping he would do that for Beans.
I love those. Listen to me. I love those guys. I don't think either one of them's better than Beans in his prime.
Wow.
They can't out-rap Beans. I love both of those guys. You know how I feel
Not
about
even
Push.
Common?
You see what Cannabis did to Common on making a name for ourselves? Similar outcome if you fuck with Beans.
Common's interesting.
Not better than Beans.
He's another guy that used to be in the underrated conversations, too.
That shit's over.
Yeah.
I got my SAG card now. I'm an actor. It's like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, in the White House and everything.
Right, Beans is my number 1. CL Smooth would be my number 2 because I've never seen somebody be that fluid on the mic and coming from where he's coming from in New York and the time where he's coming from and not have producers flock to him.
And make a record like When They Reminisce Over You and his mic performance on there.
And it's one of the better mic performances.
It's one of the best songs ever. And it's like he's probably one of the few guys who's made a song that high level from end to end, 3 verses that doesn't get mentioned in anything.
Now here's my sleeper pick. What is West Coast hip hop without the DOC?
Yeah. The DLC's underrated. But
what is West Coast hip hop? Because this is a guy. How about this? He has an album. How about this? No one can do it better than me. It's just as good as whatever you think your best LL album is, and probably better, in my opinion.
Well, now that's true.
Like, no one can do it better than anything LL's made.
End to end, I would say so. It's probably not more impactful than
I'm not saying
Bigger and Deffer, but yeah.
But it's better than almost everything L made. I think he's nicer on the mic than L. I think he taught Snoop Dogg what bars were.
Yeah, he's a pivotal
I think he
part
helped
in
write
Dr.
the Chronic,
Dre's career.
right?
Yeah.
So that would be. Let's see. You have a classic album. You've been writing for Easy. You taught Snoop what bars were. That's underrated because people act like the DOC wasn't gonna be the man. That's underrated.
I look at that as more as underappreciated.
No, that's underrated because when has he ever been rated and notarized as such? Like when people talk about that West Coast run that started NWA, The Chronic, Doggy Style, does his name get mentioned?
No, it doesn't.
Then he's underrated because people look at that and that's what shifted the climate in hip hop culture and in record sales.
But I feel like, most
and
of that.
And on the mic, he busts most of these niggas' ass.
I think most of that is because of that one, just having one album. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like how I feel about Big L, where it's like we know the skill set and everything was there, but we just don't have a whole lot to go on as far as on wax. Now, I get you behind the scenes stuff. And again, I think that's more underappreciated.
People forget this. How does Nothing But a G thing start? It starts off the way what starts. It's funky enough. 1, 2, 3 into the. people miss that. It's like, oh yeah, people love nothing but a G thing. It's like, he took that from the DOC. That's the DOC start off. It's like, no, he helped write The Chronic. He taught Snoop what bars were. He wrote for Easy. He made No One Can Do It Better. It doesn't get too much more underrated than that, in my opinion.
Okay, who else you got?
That's where I kind of struggle. Those were my easy top 3.
Do we still run with the Big Boy being underrated thing?
Too much platinum and gold hanging on the wall, Mike. I was listening to Elevators on the way here. I was like, niggas that write hooks like this are not underrated. It's clearly his hook.
But he doesn't really get the credit for it, though.
That might be underappreciated, though, because there's gold and platinum hanging on the wall from Jump. Gold single, platinum album from Jump. Thanks, producer.
Nah, that's me. That's my phone and my computer.
Sorry, Ron. No more cheap shots at the producer.
But yeah.
But those are my top 3. Those were the 3 that I thought.
So you don't think Big Boy is in that conversation?
I think more underappreciated and the things that we say here, I think people don't understand, and it always gets, because Andre is a star of stars, apparently.
Yeah.
It always get typecast as us hating on Andre, which couldn't be further from the truth. I actually happen to think he's a phenomenal person from the times that I met him, and I've spoken many times to the inspiration that he's provided as an MC to this region, to this culture, to this city.
Mm-hmm.
But about all those things is why Big Boy is underappreciated and why we keep on highlighting it. I'm not saying there's not gold and platinum everywhere. Even look at the stuff that he's been on. Like, no, I'm like, niggas is getting on Missy's album and Missy's Prime and spitting on All in My Grill ain't underrated, but are underappreciated, yes.
I don't know, man. I lean more towards underrated in the sense where, the work is right there in front of you, right? And we talk about, these certain lists that come out, and with Outkast being held so high as a unit, and one member being held so high as an individual that doesn't have anything outside of the unit.
See, that's about him
and then the other guy having so much of a driving force in the unit and having his own individual stuff and getting left out totally. I think that's more underrated than underappreciated.
See, I respect what you're saying, but my prognosis is totally different. I look at it from the inverse. I look at this like Big Boy is underappreciated because Andre is overrated. Correct. And so while you're looking at it like, well, he doesn't get appreciated because this guy gets all the credit, what I've been trying to say...
So you're saying that Dre shouldn't get that level of credit he gets anyway.
He's not deserved this level of credit, and if the credit were parsed out appropriately, we wouldn't be having these conversations.
I think that's fair.
And so, and this is what I mean. It's like, I don't mean that disrespectfully, but it's like, well, no, I don't know if you can do what Big Boy does. Like I told you, Mike, I was listening to Elevators today. I'm like, yeah, this is the best hook they did, and I don't give a damn what anybody say. We know who did it. Like, we know who did it. Go listen to the hook. Me and you, your mama, and your cousin, too. Rolling down the strip on Vogues, coming up, slamming Cadillac doors. Andre talks like that on the first album briefly, and then you never hear it.
Not on ATLians like that.
Not even a lick.
Mad Max to the Super Chat says, Ransom, they live best song of the decade. Oh, Ransom, they live best song of the decade. That's high praise right there, Mad Max. The plug with the Super Chat says, Casual, Razkaz, Elzai, that's my guy.
like
Corrupt,
this.
Blue, Planet Asia, Malik B, RIP, Fonte, super underrated. What do you think about the Fonte pick?
I can roll with Fonte. I was actually trying to think of a Carolina and a Georgia. Give my hometown some love.
I feel like Fonte gets his props for the people who rock with the music. Now, I think
not the people that follow us that think we don't give them enough.
There's a thing where, certain artists just have a smaller audience than other artists, right? And it's kind of like to your Ludacris point.
Black Thought suffered from that for years.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you're underrated because the people who rock with Lil Brother rock with them heavy. You know what I'm saying? And they understand what it is. What do you think about this whole Ludacris being underrated? I don't really understand it, and people gotta explain that. What do you think they might be coming from?
I don't even want to engage in that type of talk.
Yeah, because I think he's highly successful as an artist, as now in Hollywood. I think we all recognize that Luda's nice on the mic. Where is he underrated per se?
What are we talking about? Like, what would constitute underrated? Is he not getting enough love from this city in terms of his all-time MC ranking?
But that's not where he was trying to make his music for anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I mean...
He didn't make a trap music. Trap music is for Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody else gravitated to it. Trap music is for Atlanta. Southern Playalistic Cadillac music is for Atlanta. Soul food is for Atlanta.
It is.
It is. East Point Greatest Hit. It's called East Point's Greatest Hits.
Yeah.
It's for Atlanta. The Witch Doctor album, that's for Atlanta. Even Dirty Sprite, no, that's for Atlanta.
And Luda went out there to make global music, and he did that, and he succeeded in that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really.
Right. I don't get it. It's like, no, I mean, we from here, Michael. I mean, we know when artists is making music for here. Like, I give you somebody like Nutty, Young Nutty. No, Nutty making music for Atlanta right now. Like, if other people's gravitating to it, like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But let's take somebody like Lotto. You heard Lotto's new joint?
I have, yeah.
That shit bang.
Yeah.
But she ain't necessarily making music for the city no more.
Mm-mm.
And that's okay.
And that's fine.
But she not going to get, city love like other people that's showing the city love back.
Exactly.
It's like that everywhere.
It's all about what you're trying to do.
It's like that everywhere.
Let's look at 50 Cent. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You know what? I will say this. I think New York could be different because obviously Cardi doesn't make her music for New York, right? But she still gets that love in New York. At least I think. Maybe the people out there who are from New York could tell me different. But again, that's me as an out-of-towner's perspective. Yeah. I feel like 50 got the love. How about that?
Cardi get more love down here, fam.
Think so? What about 50? When 50 was in his run, was he getting that New York love, or was that more of a national, global thing?
When 50 got his New York love, it was actually before.
Like, well, he did service the streets with mixtapes. How about this?
I remember when you remember Mala.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Mala. Mala just had a birthday. Her birthday's on the 4th. I remember when Mala went up top to New York for a while to do some music stuff. Her and y'all, and I think they had a session up there or something. And she came back down. I was like, how the studio had a session. You know what I'm saying? I used to look up to them. You know what I'm saying? And like every time they did something, I was like, yo, let me hear something. Whoop-de-whoop. And she was like, she's like, this nigga 50's king up there. I was like, yeah. I was like, the mixtapes is dope. She, you know how she grabbed me. She put her hand up. She like, no. She like grabbed me. She like, Coop, you're not listening. She's like, you don't never fucking listen. She's like, he king right now. I was like, yeah, I know. She's like, nah. She's like, they talking about him the way they talk about Jay, the way they talk about Nas, the way they talk about Rakim. I was like, hold on. I said, stop. Like, I was like, he not that. She's like, that's what I'm saying. She's like, but it's like that up top right now. This is a year before Get Rich or Die Trying that she's telling me this.
Yeah,
and so I'm like,
mixtapes.
I'm like, oh, he running it like that?
Yeah, this is before the after Shady Deal and all that stuff.
Yeah, this is before all of that happened, and I'm like, now that I had never heard or seen. You know what I'm saying? But that also let me know that the game had changed because it's like New York, it's nothing against 50. New York had never crowned somebody to that level that wasn't supremely lyrically inclined, as in possibly the best MC you could tote around. Like, they toted 50 around like he was Rakim in 88. And it's like, I love Get Rich or Die Trying.
It was about the songs, though.
Great. Yeah. It's about those hooks.
Mm-hmm.
Even the hooks on the mixtapes were fire, Mike.
Yeah.
He sold up the game on his hook game.
Yeah. 36 Chambers with the $20 super chat showing love says, there's a difference between feeling like an artist is underrated and feeling like your favorite artist isn't held up as the greatest of all time. People in their feelings when they're saying Luda's underrated. He is not underrated. Okay. Well, thank you, because I don't think he fits that mold either. This is what I got.
You can't be going triple platinum out here and doing Welcome to Atlanta with Jermaine Dupri and calling yourself underrated. That ain't about the shake.
These are the people I jotted down. I got Sean Price. I
knew you were gonna do that.
Yeah, I got Sean Price. I got CL Smooth.
Oh, so we're there on CL.
Yeah. I mean, I think he is the most underrated. I mean, this is in no particular order.
At this point, because if you look at when he started and how,
he's nice.
Remember Magic Hour with AZ?
Mm-hmm. I got Blue from Blue in Exile. I think for this era, he's definitely underrated. Obviously, I got Big Boy. I got MJG. I got Exhibit. I think Freddie Gibbs is underrated based on the amount of output that he's put out there and the catalog that he's amassed, and he's not in these conversations.
I love Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things. I think this is where the era hurts you, because he actually has all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But he could use a couple of big records and some more notoriety that is part of it. And I don't mean notoriety in the sense of I mean notoriety in the sense of people talking about his spit game
Yeah.
the way that they should. You know what I'm saying? Because for what he does, it's like I don't consider him to be a traditional lyricist the way Conway is. I consider Conway to be a more traditional lyricist.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some striking comparisons between the two. But I feel like if he were lyrically to go somewhere different, that might be the gap that he needs. You know what I mean? Because his subject matter, because of how he spits, you know what I'm saying? And he doesn't use metaphors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And you don't have to.
No, I'm not
Scarface doesn't either. You know what I mean?
And that's my thing. Remember I told you how I felt about Scotty Beam? I was like, well, he's rapping like a young Scarface on Scotty Beam. Okay, first of all, you're not about to rap like young Scarface like for a whole album. Because young Scarface couldn't do that for a while. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. You know? And so something's going to have to probably change a little bit for him to get the flowers that he deserves.
I feel like his versatility is there. You know, he's shown us that he can rhyme over an array of production at a high level. And it's similar to the Beans thing. I actually had Beans on my list too.
Damn right.
Yeah. I mean, so it's similar to that in this era. And like you said, I feel like his era is kind of hurting him. I do believe if he was around in the era where, you know, let's just say when Fabulous had stuff on the radio, and when the Clips had stuff on the radio, Freddie Gibbs can get you some radio records, but it's just not there now.
But this is what I mean. Okay, so let's just go with Gibbs right quick. Let's go to the records with Pusha T, the Gold Rings and Palm Olive. That's the problem. Because when you put him in the ring,
that is the problem.
With somebody who does the things that he does,
you see the space.
But operates the way Pusha operates on the mic, okay? Then you see the space. Most people take issue with Pusha's content, and that's why I keep telling them it's like, oh, but everything else is there. And you hear that everything else is there when you put Pusha T next to a Jeezy, next to a Rick Ross, next to a Gibbs. Then all that shit that I'm talking about you hear. Like on Palm Olive, Freddie Gibbs is snapping on Palm Olive. It's one of his best verses. And then Push comes in with arguably the verse of the year.
Well, see, that's the thing. And people talk about we overrate Pusha T.
No,
what happens is when Pusha T gets on records with his peers or even people who are, you know, all-time greats,
they in trouble.
He does his thing. Every time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's like
example given, so appalled.
Yeah. even if we want to talk about nostalgia with Kendrick. Like this is supposed to be
Drug Dealers Anonymous with Jay.
Yeah, like
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah, and like you said, the Rick Ross records, the Freddie Gibbs records.
Illin' with Jeezy on Trap or Die 2.
Oh, of course.
Tell Hove don't cry. Everybody know the bars from there. That's some of his most favorite bars. People forget that's a Jeezy song on a Trap or Die 2 mixtape.
Yeah.
The most memorable part of the mixtape bar-wise is Pusha T's performance.
Tell Hove don't pass the crown too soon. Yeah.
Unless he got a crown for every writer in the room.
It's too many spirits on these ghost-written tunes.
So you can't crown an heir till you seance the room. It's the hardest shit on Trap or Die 2, and you know how I feel about Trap or Die 2.
Pusha T's pretty much done it all. Like in my opinion,
he
like
has, but he's what hurts a Gibbs and a Conway because it's like, and I haven't heard him and Conway on a record together, but no, that dude raps with Jay and can get the best of Jay. He can rap with Kendrick and get the best of Kendrick. So when you putting him in the quote unquote hustler. I told you them dudes is in trouble. He's the best at it. He's the modern day Cool G rap.
Rigger 49er with the super chat says Snow the product super underrated. So is Tech Nine, Locksmith. Much love and respect. Y'all sending y'all sending this from work, sitting in my crane. Shout out. Says sending this from work. Out there getting it done. Appreciate that love. I think the thing is though, can guys who just make music for a certain demo be considered underrated? Guys and women when we talk about Snow the product. Because Snow the product clearly makes, you know what I'm saying, records for her market and her demo, and they rock with her. And I mean, Snow the product is not suffering and not getting on shows.
So
you know what I mean?
Underappreciated.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where I got Big Crit on my list too. I think he's underrated. You don't think he's underrated?
So how about this? Let's go to somebody that used to get most underrated MC of all time category, Black Thought.
Yeah.
You want to know why that was? Because Black Thought spent about 3 or 4 years rhyming at a Biggie, Nas, Jay-Z type, even Redman in his prime type of level. and wasn't getting the acclaim for it. How about this? People forget this. Black Star got acclaim before Black Thought did.
Mm-hmm.
Common got acclaim before Black Thought did.
Yeah.
There was a time, I mean, and not being funny, go listen to, this is what I mean, go listen to Illadelph Half-Life. I know you love Q-Tip. I love Q-Tip. But I realized who Black Thought was on the Ital where he bodied Q-Tip. And I'm like, oh no, I'm like, Thought different.
Yeah.
Like, I know he different, but he different. He making Q-Tip sound like just a good MC on the mic.
Even
like
when
he made Q-Tip sound good, Mike. I was like, Q-Tip just sound good on this record. I was like, oh.
Even when Jay did Moment of Clarity, right? And he called, you know, Common and Talib by name when it comes to guys who are underappreciated or whatnot, right?
Should have been saying.
I was gonna say Thought's name wasn't even in that conversation because that's how much people didn't even consider Thought on a man. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The face of conscious music at that point was Talib, Mos, and Common. And honestly, Black Thought could have been nicer than all of them even then.
He was nicer than all of them then. He's nicer than all of them now. None of them have performed the way that he performed on Illadelph Half-Life. I'm sorry. Like, not lyrically. None of them. Like, those guys have moments where they are top tier echelon as MCs. That man existed on some albums like that where there wasn't a verse that he spit that wasn't at the highest level. Go listen to Illadelph and Things Fall Apart. It's like, oh, no. Mos and Common don't got consistent bar work like that. Not lyrically speaking, not around that time. Where the record's at?
DJ Bruce Almighty with the super chat says, Rhapsody is heavily underrated. Now, I don't think Rhapsody's underrated. I think she gets a lot of props. I do.
I think most of the women are underrated. So
do
it's
you?
Like, yeah.
I think women are getting their props in hip-hop.
I think
right
they're
now.
starting to.
I got Jean Grey on my list, and I think she's underrated.
But that's the thing, Mike. Her and her dude got such a core following. How underrated is she? That's what they're choosing to do. People have to understand.
Yeah.
People are choosing these paths of less resistance.
Well, this you know what?
Notoriety.
The reason why I say she's underrated. Go ahead.
There's a difference. This is what I mean about Black Thought being underrated. Go listen to Illadelph Half-Life. No, there are bona fide singles and star power on here. Clones is a great single. What They Do is an epic single.
It's a great single.
The Hypnotic with D'Angelo. Push Up Your Light. No, these are dope ass records that should be released as singles. And he is the author of these records. The Hypnotic and What They Do are solo shots. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
No, this is 96 that he's doing that. That's being underrated. What Common got was what Common earned. What Talib and Mos got is what they kind of earned. Like, Black Thought didn't get what he earned. It wasn't until he made You Got Me. I was like, Hypnotic better than You Got Me, but okay.
I think there could have been an argument for Rhapsody to be underrated until she signed to Rock Nation. When she signed to Rock Nation, she's everywhere.
Right, like,
you got people like Charlamagne the God giving her props on The Breakfast Club and things like that. And I feel like Jean Grey's on this list for me because of Rhapsody, actually. You know what I'm saying? Like, really,
Bahama D is underrated
because they act like Rhapsody is the only woman of that ilk in the space. You know what I'm saying?
No, and I hear you on Jean Grey, but listen, what I'm saying is like, is Jean Grey compared to Bahama D underrated? No. Compared to Rhapsody,
I'm fine with Bahama D
you feel
being
what I'm saying?
there.
That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying
I
underrated.
love Bahama D.
Me too. That's what I'm saying. Collage is a dope ass project.
Mm-hmm.
Bahama D is underrated. Jean Grey ain't underrated.
True Honey Buns is crazy.
Honey Buns is crazy too.
And,
that's what I'm saying. Bahama D is underrated. When you talking underrated, that's what underrated look like. Jean Grey not underrated. Everybody know who Jean is and what the spit game look like.
3 the Hard Way.
Everybody know who Jean Grey is and what Jean Grey's spit game look like in hip hop. Not everybody knows who Bahama D. I say Bahama D to some people and they be like, who?
Right. Rigger 49er says Joyner Lucas and E40 underrated. I don't think E40's underrated anymore either.
He used to be.
Yeah.
He used to be. That's over too. That's over.
Stefan Young with the super chat says, can I get an email to send the beats to? Send them to info@accordingtohiphop.com or coop@accordingtohiphop.com. Either one.
Yeah.
Make sure you put the number 2 in there. Shout out to BJ Bankhead with the $10 super chat showing love. T Nitty with the super chat says Killer Priest is underrated.
I was actually about to say I wanted to keep it Atlanta right quick. You know who one of my favorite rappers down here is, right? It's Eastside shit, Mike. Sean Paul.
Sean Paul.
Sean Paul will probably be on my underrated list. Like personally, I love Sean Paul, and I love Sean Paul too.
I felt like there was a time
Where outside of T.I., he was the best MC in this city for a minute.
I think he has one of the best flows to come out of here. I think that T.I.
But even with that, I'm kind of funny.
T.I. and Gibb.
Well, but even with that, I'm kind of funny because Youngblood's got Damn and got 85, and he's got Snap Your Fingers with E40 and Lil Jon. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like he's not. I feel like a lot of people outside of Atlanta aren't familiar with how dope he is. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I would call him underrated. We're doing key switch on the mic.
Yeah, doing key switch. There we go. Boom. Yeah. But no, as far as flow and all of that, I think that Sean Paul got the flow, right?
He do.
I think the T.I. actually has one of the best flows, too, in that certain time period. And Big Gipp is there with me, too. When I say flow example, though, for Tip, because I know a lot of people, I mean, I don't know how the rest of the world views T.I. It's constantly confusing to me. But when T.I. raps like he does on Lil Jon's grand finale, that flow right there, that flow and
I refuse to lose. I'd rather give these weak dudes the blues.
That flow and then that riding through Atlanta in the Phantom with the double dose. Like that flow, like on top of it. And you know what? Andre has one of the better flows in the city too. The way he developed his flow.
Andre's flow is the best flow the city's ever seen.
You think so?
Yeah. No, I'm not.
His flow's crazy.
For whatever I say, that's what I'm saying. Is like, oh no, you don't know his shit inside and out like I do to be even coming for me like that. I'm telling you, he got the best flow this city's ever seen. It ain't even really that conversational with me outside of his partner in rhyme.
Is CeeLo as an MC underrated?
No. No, he's not.
Why not?
He's too notable on it.
Because a lot of people don't even consider him to be a rapper like that.
You want to know it? Just to show you how the playlist was working, I played Thought Process too. So obviously I started. How about this? I did an Ain't No Thing playlist today on my playlist. So I started off with Ain't No Thing from Southern Playalistic, and it just started keying up songs. So like In the Wind got played. Remember CeeLo's verse on In the Wind?
John Velour to the floor.
Yeah.
88 Spencer with the super chat says Thought and Malik B on the response/reaction. Fire. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, respond, react. The way Illadel starts off, that's what I'm talking about. That shit is bananas. That's one of my favorite intros too. Thought Process. Mike, I was listening to the Thought Process and I was like, man, I know we always notarize this Andre verse, but you want to know why we do? Because his flow's better.
Yeah.
Because lyrically, the CeeLo and Andre verse on Thought Process, I don't know, man. Like I was in the car and I was listening to the shit that CeeLo said.
I said this before, yeah.
He said, hold on. At least I kind of wish I did have money, but I kind of like being poor. At least I know what my friends here for. I want a lot to you sometimes, but I can't. I want to tell you that it's all good, but it ain't. It's niggas hurting and uncertain about if they gonna make it or not. That's why we got niggas killing, feeling like they coming up off a little dope they sold. You can get some gold, but we won't make it as a whole. Cause without you, there be no me. And without no unity, there will never be any happiness. You can smoke a pound of cess, and it still won't relieve your stress. God bless my thought process.
Yeah.
That's not even his best verse. We ain't talking about Get Up, Get Out. Hell no, that nigga's not underrated. How can you rhyme like that and people not hear it?
I don't think people...
Don't he got gold and platinum plaques hanging on the wall from the jump?
This is what I'll say about it. I think that what CeeLo has done as an individual and as an artist and, you know, even with Gnarls Barkley, it has exceeded the notoriety of some of his early greatness. And it kind of drowns it out to a certain degree for a lot of people. They don't even know, a lot of people who are listening to us right now might not even know that verse exists like that. You know what I'm saying?
They not heads if they don't
Sometimes
know.
I don't even know how I'm going to eat. About $20 away from being on the street. Shit. Might see a nigga on TV. But it's almost like I'm rapping for free. That little money be gone. Damn it, I'm grown. Got to help keep the heat and the lights on. I mean, honestly, like you said in one of our episodes,
reality of it.
The reality of it, it makes me feel like that verse is actually better than Dre's, to be honest.
Well, this is what I kept saying about, creatively, Dre is a genius. And you get into that creative space when you're younger of being enamored with the creative genius, and that's fine. But then life happens to you. And when you go back and listen to these records,
it's real life.
It's real life. That a lot of CeeLo and Big Boy, Gipp, that's a lot of real life. Dre is a lot of lyrical gymnastics. And
as an outcast, I was born, wasn't one at the harm that would come to meet me like MetLife, but yeah, life done. sent me through a lot of ups and downs where it ain't nothing. It's not as
like elevators,
but I ain't the one that's pushing the buttons. I'll say this: if
that's more your traditional emceeing.
I was gonna say,
that'll make it better.
If CeeLo wrote this out as an essay, and Dre wrote his verse out as an essay, and they turn it into a teacher, CeeLo's verse is getting a higher grade.
Correct, because this is what I'm saying. Dre specializes in that creative genius. Like, what'd he say? Hold on. Still smoking, still drinking. Now I'm sitting on the Lincoln 4 a.m. thinking that in reality the world is like a ball full of players. We trapped in this maze with walls made of layers and only pray up. When he starts doing that, that's where that genius starts taking off. But that doesn't submerge the shit that CeeLo said before, does it?
You can tell CeeLo's been through it.
You can tell CeeLo's been through it because
same thing with Get Up, Get Out. And see, really, it's the same dynamic. Whereas CeeLo's verse on Get Up, Get Out might be slightly better than his verse on Thought Process.
Not by much.
But Dre's verse on Thought Process is much better than his verse on Get Up, Get Out.
He's a much better rapper in 95 than he was in 94.
Exactly. And CeeLo just kept it consistent with his reality takes.
I don't recall.
And ever graduating at all. He really took it there on that verse.
Sometimes I feel I'm just a disappointment to y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dre don't do that.
He doesn't.
On the mic, Dre does not do that. That's why I mean it's like you're enamored with the voice, with the delivery, with the creative genius. Start breaking them bars down. Has a grown man break those bars down and tell me where you relate to this man and tell me that you know this guy. Because it's like, I'll tell you what, I feel like I know Big Boy through the music, CeeLo through the music, Nas through the music, Wu-Tang through the music over the years, especially Ghost and Ray. You know what I'm saying?
What I get from Dre is that he's been trying to figure it out. That's what I get.
Figure out what, Mike?
Who he wants to be. And I think that with the constant identity changing with Cass from album to album, I think a lot of that is him finding himself. You know what I mean?
You can find yourself, Mike, but it's like, you know, you are still who you are, and there's hubs to those things. And here's what I mean. It's like, well, as I stated in the Voyage ATL article, it's like, well, I started off really on some secondhand smoke. My cousins are the hip-hop heads. You know what I'm saying? But then I became a writer. Then I became an MC.
Yeah.
Then I started managing artists. Then I started writing for According to Hip Hop. Now I'm doing this podcast with you. Do you see how hip hop's been a part of my life this whole time in different shapes and variations? He could have existed in this culture in different shapes and variations. Plenty of other people have done it.
He chose not to.
Thank you. We be out here making choices as grown individuals. I've made a conscious choice to keep hip hop in my life because the time when it wasn't in my life was some of my most unhappy times.
Rigger 49er with the super chat says, I think a lot of Bay Area rappers are underrated and overlooked. Spice One, Mac Dre, Mac Mall, Ray Love, who was Pac's first rap partner, Sibo, Yuck Mouth. Yuck Mouth is actually nice too, in a Tash type of way. You know what I'm saying?
I still like Tash better.
I love Tash, man. Like
that's what I mean. High school, that's underrated.
In high school, Tash was like, I want to say one of my favorite rappers, but he was a guy that I would constantly go to and be like, man, I wonder what Tash got going on. You know what I mean? And he put out that Rap Life album.
That's what I'm saying.
Dope-ass album.
What the joint with Ray is on there, right? That's
Rap
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He rapping back and forth with Ray.
Yeah.
In Ray's prime.
He got Cass on there on Smokefest 99 with Be Real and Feel the Agony.
Be Real's underrated.
Think Be Real's underrated. Be Real's nice.
Be Real's nice.
Why do you think that Be Real doesn't get put in these conversations? Or Cypress Hill altogether?
Cultish following. See, I don't think Cypress Hill is underrated, but I think Be Real is underrated.
In a Tretch type of way, maybe.
Not quite Tretch, but yes, in a Tretch's kind of way.
Is Tretch underrated?
Yeah, at this
or
point,
underappreciated?
No, I think it's both at this point, Mike.
Okay.
When I go back and listen to him rap, I'm like, ain't too many guys better than him in 91, 92, 93.
Especially for the time period that he was doing these things in, because that was that little window of time between the Rakims, Kane, and the next generation.
Him and Pac were actually the transitional figures in a lot of ways, and that's why I can see now why they were close. And actually, what's funny is that Tretch is the bigger star before Pac. Like, way bigger.
For sure.
Like, when Pac and Tretch are kicking it, Tretch is the man at first.
I mean, yeah, it's Tretch.
It's Tretch.
It's OPP, man.
I mean, people forget Tretch in the damn Salt and Pepper with a Man video.
Pac's in there, too, actually.
I told you they used to hang.
Yeah. I mean, if you look close, Pac
Well,
is
you can see
in
the
there.
Thug Life tattoo
Yeah,
in the bed.
yeah,
You can see
he's
the
in
Thug
there.
Life tattoo. That's clear.
But he's not showcased in there. Let's say it like that.
No, Tretch is showcased in there.
Yeah. Leroy Green with the super
But,
chat
Pac
says.
was also, he was having some problems and some difficulties, right?
Yeah, he probably wasn't supposed to, Leroy Green with the super chat says, what up, fellas? And peace to you, Coop. But Mike, if you want, I got you for Friday's show while Coop is doing his thing. No shots to Coop, just saying. Nah, man. Leroy Green wants to take your spot on the Friday show.
Oh, yeah, Leroy, you about to catch these bars. You trying to take my job, fam? Okay. Yeah. You want to know what's in the beat? Go ahead and send the beat over. It's time to cook Leroy. Leroy, you need to bring all of your literary devices. Because you want to know what? I knew Leroy was going to pull this. I already got a tentative verse. I already know what verse I'm using. I'm going to go ahead and body Leroy with the verse because he think he got the literary devices on lock. I keep trying to tell people nicely. It's like, you don't want to do this. But since you want to.
Couple questions before we move on. Why don't you think Big Crit's underrated?
Because I just don't think that the music is there like that.
Really?
Unfortunately.
I think that's one thing that he is strong in.
You think the music is strong? Because this is what I mean about the music being strong. If the music is strong, then it stands on its own. Too often when I listen to his music, I hear the music that I grew up on. I hear the Outkast.
Okay.
I hear the 8 Ball and MJG. I hear the UGK. Really the UGK.
I can feel that.
And so that would make somebody like Pimp C more underrated. Somebody like DJ Paul is underrated. That's what I'm saying. Crit's not underrated.
I think what Paul's doing.
DJ Paul is arguably a top 10 producer all time, and nobody talks about it. That's underrated. His catalog like that, that's underrated. Big Crit catalog ain't like Paul's catalog to be calling him underrated while Paul's sitting over here like that. You feel me? We're not playing those games.
I think Paul.
Pimp C would be on this list, but he didn't get his until he passed.
Exactly. I'm a big 3-6 fan. Juicy J kind of shows me what Paul did was kind of a choice. Paul chose to feed the underground while, Juicy's doing his thing on the overground level.
Like, think about it. Paul's still making bangers. He did PYS for Freddie last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a banger. That slaps. We were talking about freestyling to that.
I mean, Paul is all over Killer Mike's album, which many people have as album of the year.
No, it's album of the year so far.
T-Nitty with the super chat says, MC8's very underrated. I can get with that. CMW's first 3 albums. Now, I can see that.
Richard Dixon keeps saying AZ over and over again. Richard, I hate to be the one to break it to you. AZ?
He's no longer underrated.
But here's the thing about it. Even when we said underrated, this is what I mean. You have to go back and really look at it. It's like, no, AZ's first single he ever dropped went platinum, Mike.
Yeah.
His album went gold out the rip. All right? The Firm went platinum. He was making gold albums all through the 90s and early 2000s. That's not underrated.
I agree.
He might be underappreciated because he doesn't maybe end up in those top-tier lyricist conversations like I feel like he belongs in sometimes. But he's not. No.
It's like Scottie Pippen, honestly. Like people are saying that AZ's underrated because of who Nas is in the culture and how AZ sticks with Nas when they're together. I think he's more underappreciated. I agree with you. I couldn't say Scottie Pippen's underrated, which someone could make that argument. I think Scottie was much more underappreciated than underrated.
I'm going to tell you when he stopped being underrated, Mike. He was the best MC on the Firm album, and that album went platinum. It's over after that. There's a Firm album. He's the best MC on the album from beginning to end. That album went platinum. That's after having a platinum single, a gold album, countless records with Fox and Nas. That is not underrated. There is nothing underrated about that at that point. I'm sorry. What you're talking about is him being underappreciated. Last one. You know where I'm going, my number 5, because I really just thought about it.
Go ahead.
Cool G Rap is still underrated.
You think Cool G Rap's still underrated?
Cool G Rap is still underrated.
Jay Short with the super chat says, to me, from a legacy perspective, Heavy D is underrated. He was the first rapper to make those radio/R&B hits, but still be a credible rapper. You know what? And he did it at a time when, Hammer and those guys were out, and it was kind of a slippery slope to cross over too much. You know what I mean?
Heavy D and Kane, man.
Yeah.
They want people that can dance with Hammer.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I think Quick is underrated as a producer, but rapper too.
I'm with you.
He said he's funny, can tell great stories, and drop a vicious diss record. You know, Jay Short said something about this.
Dollars and cents. He's talking about dollars and cents.
Yeah, Jay Short said something about this in one of our previous shows where he basically says that, you know, from a mainstream perspective, the West Coast looks like Dr. Dre to everybody, you know, on the outside. And that kind of causes a lot of other people on the West Coast to be extremely underrated, because if Dr. Dre and that camp's not operating, we act like the West ain't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Six used to say that all the time. Six is a big Quick fan. Here's what I'll tell you. Quick has, in born and raised in Compton, Safe and Sound, and Rhythmalism. Those were 3 great albums, Mike.
Kendrick had a lot of Quick's albums highly rated on his personal list.
He should.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm saying. Most rappers don't have 3 albums like that. Like, Bonafide. How about this? We were just talking about, how about this? CL Smooth.
Yeah.
Right? That's where Quick is underrated. Was Quick got 3 albums that are great, that he produced and he rapped on.
Yeah. That's the part that really makes him underrated, that he produced and rapped.
But I've always told you, it's like, well, he's borderline top 10 all time to me too. And speaking of which, we probably need to have this top 10 producer conversation again, because I think what we really need to start making a decision on is what is the criteria for it and what matters about it. Because here's why. When I brought up the whole Hit Boy thing, I'm like, well, who helped get Nas his first Grammy?
Yeah.
Who got Jay-Z his first Diamond Plat? Those things matter to the culture now. That wasn't always the thing. You could be a Pete Rock or a DJ Quick.
Marley Marl.
Marley Marl made hits.
He did. When he connected with LL. And yeah, he made street hits and stuff too. Yeah.
I mean, he's in those Rock M sessions. He's in.
Yeah. He did make Eric B his president. Yeah.
In the Rock M sessions.
Yeah, the Kane stuff, the Biz stuff. Yeah.
The Biz stuff, the LL stuff. No, he making bangers. He making Cool G rap stuff too. But it's like, Master A shit. But he ain't like, it ain't just that.
Yeah.
He got other shit. He made Roxanne shit, Mark.
But I guess what I'm saying is diamond plaques. You know what I mean?
That next level of notoriety. I know there are better hit makers than beat makers than Hit. Probably there are 10 better beat makers, but it's like when I say this and people,
it's all encompassed though.
Right? How about this? This is what I'm saying, Mike. I love Dilla. I don't know if there's a better beat maker than Dilla. What about his catalog is top 10 to you?
We can't
outside of his beat making, because it's like I know what the beat making sound like. What the catalog say?
Based on the catalog, and he has a very illustrious catalog, but what I would say, the catalog isn't as versed as somebody like a Hit Boy. And it would be a very tough argument, and it would almost be a subjective as opposed to objective argument if you're going to argue Dilla over somebody like Hit Boy.
Right.
You gotta step out of it and just look at what's in front of you and be like, okay, how can I justifiably put this person over this person?
Right.
And there's not really a lot to really go on to put him over Hit Boy based on everything Hit Boy's done.
How about this? I'm going to throw out the producers of Illmatic, not named DJ Premier, and you tell me which one of them can say that they're better than Hit. Can Large Professor say that?
I don't think so.
Can Q-Tip say that? Because he's the one that I would think outside of Preem might be able to say it, but that's off the strength of producing 2 albums that got released in 1991, 1993.
And
1989,
we're not gonna forget People's Instinctive.
Oh my God,
People's Instinctive is so impressive. You got a 18, 19-year-old who not only rapped pretty much this whole damn album, but produced it as well. And it gets 5 mics out the gate.
You and Six with the People's Instinctive.
People's Instinctive is great.
I've given you.
I'm a weirdo though. So.
No, Mike. I've come up off my stance of not saying that it's not a classic and giving it its classic status, because I did go back and listen to it at your behest and my cousin's behest. He's like, yeah, you don't know what the fuck you talking about.
But I mean, I got to be fair though. You know what I'm saying? Q-Tip's my guy. Q-Tip's my favorite all-around artist in hip hop. But as a producer, I don't know if I can argue him over Hit Boy. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. So a lot of these guys have been on our list, and they've been on our list about nostalgia, about their prowess of beat making that we know. It's like, do I think Q-Tip makes a better beat than Hit Boy? Well, for me, yeah.
Well, how do you feel with the RZA thing then?
No, RZA's better than Hit.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
But how do you justify that then, based off of what we're saying?
No. RZA got classics lined up, gold and platinum plaques lined up, hit records.
But it's from a short period of time. It's like 93 to 97, right?
It's monstrous, Mike. it's too big for Hit. That's too big. RZA's my number 2.
Are we giving? And RZA's very high on my list too. Made some of my favorite beats ever. But I'm just trying to be objective here.
Like fundamentally speaking, is that the only thing that Hit can say that he has over him is that diamond plaque, because everything else is in RZA's.
Well, he has the longevity too.
Okay.
Like, so do we not factor in the fact that RZA's window of operating at that level was a 4-year period? I mean, we got to factor that in.
See, here's the thing. When you say factor that in, well, Mike, there's the flip side to the argument where it's like, oh my God, he did all of that in 4 years. Name another producer capable.
I understand that, but
what hurts him is what helps him, is what I'm saying.
I don't know. I don't know if doing things in a short period and not being able to continue helps you.
Here's what I'm saying. It helps him. I want you to name the producers with more classic albums than him right now, and then look at their stretch and tell me that's why he's better, because it's taking his same contemporaries double, triple the time to equal his classic output. That's why.
Well, why didn't it continue is my question.
Oh,
because I'm a big proponent of, longevity being a big sign of your greatness. Because people could get hot.
I am. That's not hot, Mike. First of all, he was never hot. He was fucking NBA Jam on fire.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a producer.
You can get in the zone. You can get in a run. But longevity.
That's not a zone, Mike. DJ Premier on The Moment of Truth is a zone. Dr. Dre on The Chronic and Doggy Style, zone. No. This motherfucker had like a 7-8 album zone where every project was good and most of the projects were classic. Let's run it down again. Enter the Wu-Tang, Tikal, Return to the 36 Chambers, Only Built for Cuban Links, Liquid Swords, Iron Man, Wu-Tang Forever. Nah, nobody has that like that. Nobody.
Well, he didn't produce the whole Wu-Tang Forever.
He produced most of it.
He produced a lot of it.
Produced most of it. But what I'm saying is those 7 albums, well, Mike, there's not a bad project in there. And most of those projects are not just classics, but all-time classics. Nobody has it like that, including Dre. Because even if you go look at Dre's run, it's like, no, Dre started before RZA and had to go longer than RZA just to make 7 albums of that measure and that quality.
Why don't you think it continued then?
Oh, because you got burned out. You got to make all those different styles of beats for all those guys. And this is what I mean. And caveat, think about this. He did that after what he lost in the flood.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's easy top 5. It's not even a question, because when you, how about this? I look at it like this. For about a 4 or 5 year stretch, I saw Penny Hardaway play some of the best basketball I've ever seen. I saw Grant Hill play some of the best basketball I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Some of. Not the best. He did the best hip hop we'd ever seen at his peak. Not some of. The. That's different when it's the instead of some. It ain't some. It's the best. Can you name a producer right now with 7 albums like that? And if you can, look at how long it took them to make them albums. That's what I'm saying about them.
You don't think he ever had any recovery time where it's like, you know what, I was burnt out for a minute. Now, you know what I'm saying, I can get back to it and make an end-to-end great album? Because that's the part that kind of feels slightly unfair to the others to me, where it's like, you got 93 to 97, but we're 26 years removed from 97.
That's fine, Mike, but you still haven't discussed the producer with those 7 projects. And then a little feather in the cap, there's this little album he executive produced that you're a big fan of called Supreme Clientele. Yeah, that 8, Mike.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here.
I hear your devil's
advocate.
What
I'm saying?
It's like there is no... I've done this. Like, there is no devil's advocate conversation for RZA. Do you have 8 albums like that from any producer?
Well, there is no group like Wu-Tang.
Right, but no. Dre has had access and resources and doesn't have 8 projects.
Dre's had a lot of talented people. Yeah.
Just as talented? No, he's had Ice Cube.
I think even more talented.
Right, he's had Ice Cube, Easy, Snoop, DOC, 50, Rakim,
Eminem,
Nas, Eminem,
The Game,
AZ, The Game.
Yeah.
Kendrick. No, he's had plenty.
Yeah, a lot of talented people over there.
A lot of talented people. Look, but this is what I'm saying. Over a course of time, he's been able to rotate his talent in and out. Here's the reality of the matter is when you're talking about RZA's peak, that's Wu-Tang's peak.
Well, let me ask you this.
You're only as good as your peak artist.
Well, why wasn't RZA able to make these classics for other artists outside of the group?
Let me ask you something real quick. You said yourself that Nas's performance on it was written in 1996 is the best Mike performance ever.
Right? I think so. It's one of them.
Havoc does 2 beats on there.
Mm-hmm.
You like live nigga rapping the setup.
I love
beat wise, right?
Yeah.
Go listen to the beats on Hell on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't give Nas his best beats.
Yeah.
He gave best beats to Prodigy.
Right.
Who in the fuck from 93 to 97 you think about to get a beat out of Wu-Tang Clan when Ghost is literally telling us 20 years later, I ain't like the beats on Iron Man like that. You think that that's not an internal issue going on? And you think they about to let this nigga give them outside beats? That is absurd.
Well, he's on the Biggie album, and they had issues with Biggie.
Only time.
I'm just saying. It's like, so he's done it. It's not like he hasn't produced for other people.
Mike, it's Biggie. It's an exception to the rule.
And on the Gravedigger projects, who's the producer?
Prince Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, RZA did some stuff on there, too. I didn't even want to get into the Gravediggers projects.
Yeah.
I think the best song on the Gravediggers project, RZA produced, not Prince Paul. But even that, that's what I'm saying. How about this? Who's better than RZA to you? Because you can't name 10 guys. No,
I can't.
But listen,
and I don't want to sound like I'm on the other side of this because RZA's one of my personal favorites too. I'm just trying to be objective.
For people that say that 4-year run, though, it's like, go show me 10 guys. Because there aren't any. There's not even 5. Mike, there's not even 4. Like, the only guys that even have classic output that can say is comparable is Dre and Ye. And look how long it's taken them to do it. No, he did it in a 4-year gap. That's part of why he's so high. He's ahead of all of those guys.
Longevity means a lot, though. You know,
Primo's been around for a long time. When the last time Primo made a classic album, Mike?
But Primo's made classics for individuals.
When's the last classic Primo song you heard? That's what I'm saying.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. And it's hard to just come off the top of my head. But
the last time Q-Tip made a classic beat, Mike?
Let's see. There's a Q-Tip record that's at the top of my head. Let me get to these super chats real
Large
quick.
Professor.
See, when you put people on the spot on live, you know what I mean? We got so much stuff to take in. I'm probably going to come back with all this stuff next show.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Quincy Hogan with the super chat says, Elzai, Skyzoo, Fonte, Ransom are all criminally underrated. You know, is somebody underrated if everybody keeps saying that they're underrated, like Fonte?
That's what I mean. You reach that point. That's why I call it the Black Thought treatment.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he was underrated, and then one day I looked up and everybody knew who he was, and I was like, it's not my secret anymore.
Because when we used to post this question, like early on in According to Hip Hop, they would always say Black Thought and AZ. And my thing is like, well, if everybody's saying this person, are they really underrated?
You know, to malign Yah again, Yaya used to tell me that he thought Black Thought, and this is 2000, 2001. He used to tell me, he's like, no, Thought is everything Nas is lyrically on the mic, in my opinion.
Rigger 49er.
I
see where they're coming from.
I don't know if that's accurate because of the solo material.
Yeah, exactly.
But the bar work was so supreme that it made you feel that way.
I understand the point.
Right, I understand the premise.
Rigger 49er with the super chat says Ant Banks, is an underrated producer. So is Eric Sermon.
So is E.S.Key.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I noticed the common thread with rappers we see as underrated is songwriting. They can spit, but the song concepts or cohesive albums aren't there.
That's fair.
I think that is a common thread here. I mean, let's ask ourselves really, like, when it comes to Fonte, right, and Fonte can rap, you know what I mean? He has dope material from Lil Brother to Foreign Exchange to his solo stuff. But would anyone say that Fonte is a better MC than, like, Pusha T? Like, both of them are on a song together. Who's coming out with the best verse?
There are people that feel that way, though, and I understand why they feel that way. But what I'm trying to tell them, if you do that to Fonte,
we should put Fonte and Pusha T on the same record and see what happens. Quincy Hogan with a super chat.
For North Carolina, I don't want that. It's a win for Virginia.
Quincy Hogan with a super chat says, Prisoners of the Moment with Hit Boy. He's nice, but nothing everlasting yet like Dilla or any Illmatic producer.
What Dilla or Illmatic producers' records are you talking about? Because this is what I'm saying. It's like, no, I'm not being prisoner of the moment, Mike. I'm just paying attention to the fact that the last time DJ Premier executive produced a classic album, it was Moment of Truth. We were in high school.
Mm-hmm.
When the last time Dre executive produced a classic album? Get Rich or Die Trying?
Now, probably one of these Kendrick efforts. I would say Good
I mean,
Kid.
most people feel like he didn't even really executive produce it though. We're gonna give him Good Kid, Mad City.
That's the thing with Dre.
Because when
convoluted.
when I bring up Good Kid, Mad City, everybody on the West Coast be like, y'all know Dre didn't do Good Kid, Mad City like that. It's like,
it's
okay.
kind of like an all eyes on me type of situation.
Right. So really, the last classic Dre made was the documentary. That's when I was living in Cali. That's before my daughter was born, Mike. A couple of years before my daughter was born. So we talking about going 20 years back on a lot of these new stuff. When the last time Q-Tip made something classic, Mike? Large Professor, Jay Dilla. Not to knock Paul. When the last time Paul produced a classic project?
You talking about a whole album?
Yes.
Well, see, this is the thing.
Because what people are forgetting is that Hit's doing this right now.
Right.
And I don't care what you say. Fucking Magic and KD too are holding up very well.
I think Hit Boy is making end to end.
All this shit holding up.
He's making end to end dope albums in an era where it's not about making an album. You know what I mean?
So if he has singles, albums,
right, that puts him in a different stratosphere.
Grammys, sales. You get what I'm saying about how he's checking all the boxes. I think too many people are locked into the beat making side of it. I'll give you somebody else that I'm talking about guys that I love too, Mike. You know how I feel about Havoc. When the last time Hav made something classic?
Yeah. And
you can't be talking about what Hit's doing now when the guys that you're trying to put ahead of him really ain't made nothing classic since we was kids, Mike.
And see, this is my thing, man.
We just got to be honest about it.
Yeah, we got to be honest about it. And that's my thing with, as much as I love Havoc and RZA, my knock would be, especially like with their contemporaries, is the fact that they made most of their great stuff within their group. Whereas other guys, you know, from Preem to, you know what I mean? Like, whoever you think of, it's all across the board. Hit Boy, you know what I mean?
See, this is what I mean.
He got stuff with Sean, A$AP Rocky, Nas, you know what I mean?
Jay,
he got everything.
Nip.
Yeah.
Right.
That stands for something because, like, when you're in your crew.
And he works with the smaller guy.
Yeah.
Right. A la Preem. He's got a lot of Preem to him in the sense he takes the big guys and the small guys. And I like that about him. But here's the difference between RZA and Havoc. This is what I'm saying. So you insert somebody like Hit in the middle of RZA and Havoc, well, Havoc's going to slide, and RZA's going to stay where he is, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Havoc has the infamous and Hell on Earth and Murder Music. And then pause. First of all, as much as I love the infamous and Hell on Earth, thus his two best production jobs, that is not Enter the Wu-Tang in the Purple Tape. I do not care what you say. I don't care how you feel. I'm a hardcore Mobb Deep fan. No.
Yeah, Purple Tape's different.
And so, same
year. So
year.
Into the 36.
Same year.
Yeah.
Same year as the infamous. And so, about that, it's like, oh no, if you want to slide somebody like Hit ahead, because, well, now Hit got KD 1, 2, 3, and Magic, and he's got the singles, and he's got the Grammys. And you know what I'm saying? Like, Havoc's biggest selling thing is Almost Famous with Ye that he did the drums on. You know what I'm saying? That's his most notarized thing. It's like, no, that's not enough for Hit. But if you were to insert Hit on this RZA side and be like, well, this guy made Enter the Wu-Tang, Enter Cal, and Return to the 36 Chambers. You see how it starts sounding different and only built for Cuban links. Oh, and Liquid Swords. Oh, and Iron Man. Oh, and Wu-Tang Forever. It's like, nah, Hit don't got enough for that. He got enough for the Havocs and the DJ Pauls and the Large Professors.
I think the knock for RZA, again, if we're going to, be objective, will be the longevity and the versatility.
See, I'm not knocking.
And the versatility is different because he actually showed versatility within his group.
He made beats for Old Dirty Bastard, Mike. There is no versatility.
I agree with that. And
There's no versatility.
And you know what I've said? I think that that's probably the most impressive production job on an album because of the subject that you're dealing with.
He made beats for Old Dirty Bastard.
He made an album for him, not just beats.
A great album.
Yeah.
His versatility should never be questioned. Mike, when you make beats for 9 to 10 to 11, 12 different guys at a time, that is versatile. It is the definition of versatility. Dr. Dre has had the same sound since 1992, and nobody questions his versatility.
He switched it up a little bit.
No, he didn't. Because he works with different artists.
Yeah, he works with different producers and stuff, too.
The versatility is in the team.
Yeah.
He worked as versatile as any man has ever worked within the framework of the team that he had. He gave beats to Meth, Dirt, Ray, Ghost. I told Mike, Jizza said I did not hear my album till it was done. I ain't never heard a nigga say that before.
That's crazy.
I never heard a nigga say that before. He said, I didn't hear Liquid Swords till it was done. It's like, what kind of shit is that?
That's awesome. T Nitty with the super chat says, Killer Priest got more classic albums than half of the Wu. Woo.
That's cap. Heavy Mental is dope, but it's a little long. And Killer Priest, the subject matter can get a little too heavy mental for it to be considered classic. He's not Chuck D, so he doesn't know how to. Yeah.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I put Manny Fresh in my top 10.
No.
I give him big props because he didn't use samples and he had his own creative original style. Sounded 100% New Orleans.
I think we need to do a producer criteria.
T Nitty with the super chat says, Havoc made the Style and Havoc album 2 years ago. Yeah, he did do that.
No, and I like that album.
Yeah.
I said classic.
Jadarian with the super chat says, don't forget about that music project that Hit Boy did.
That's why I said
it's also being well received.
Don't forget that he did Benny's project too.
Yeah. Well, that's coming.
Right.
Oh, you talking about Burden of Proof. That
right.
too. Yeah.
And he worked with Nip and ASAP and Jay and Kanye and Dom Kennedy. He working with his goddamn daddy. He making bangers with his daddy.
It's crazy.
Don't tell me that. I mean, how about this? I think that he's top 10 because I look at all the things.
Yeah.
And very few guys have all the things. The guys who do not have all the things have a catalog that he does not have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I see what you mean.
RZA. Do I think he's better than Kanye? No. Kanye got all the things he has, and he got them shits in spades.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So it'd be Dre, RZA, Kanye? No. A lot of these other guys that you got up there, you got Marley. I'll put Marley up there too. But a lot of these other guys that y'all are talking with y'all's nostalgic minds, and you're not paying attention to what's going on in hip-hop today.
Jay Short with the super chat says, people saying Hit Boy isn't that, but that hit and Benny is the most anticipated album this year. The Hit Boy haters are toxic Nas fans, mad that he didn't work with Primo, and Hit is catching strays.
I feel that way. Like, how about this, Mike? I know Pete Rock made They Reminisce Over You and made The World Is Yours. What he got for hit after that?
No, I agree with that.
You feel what I'm saying?
And I love Pete Rock. He's one of my personal favorites.
Me
and
too. I gotta get out of that personal feeling shit.
I think Pete Rock suffered from not getting a lot of placements outside his camp as well. You know, especially during the time where contemporary like Primo was getting work on a Nas project, on a Jay project, on a Big project, and he was pretty much everywhere with that. And I think Pete Rock missing out on some of those opportunities for whatever reason has kind of put, I don't want to say put a ceiling on his catalog, but everything that he did, like when he did the Rod Digger record on Dirty Harriet, What They Call Me, that record is beautiful. I love when Pete Rock branches out with other folks, but it didn't happen enough. You know what I mean? Well, and with somebody like Hit Boy, he's doing it. I could imagine what Pete Rock and Jay would sound like in the 90s, but it didn't happen. You know what I mean?
So, right. But what I'm saying is that when I'm saying hits top 10, well, Pete Rock is somebody that's traditionally in people's top 10. And I'm trying to tell you, it's like, no, that's the part of you that grew up listening to Trouble T. Roy. Yeah. And listening to The World Is Yours, listening to The Saga Begins by Rakim. It's like listening to Soul Survivor, True Master.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
True Master's crazy.
It's like, no, fam, that was 93, 94, 97, 98. It's 2023. Go look at Pete Rock's catalog. I'm sorry, like Pete Rock and CL Smooth's albums are not better than these Nas projects that Hit Boy just did. They're just not.
You want to do a Pete Rock versus Hit Boy matchup?
I'll take. How about this, Mike? I know for certain that Dre, RZA, Ye, and Marley deserve to be ahead, but you're gonna have to show me why Q-Tip is ahead, why Large Pro is ahead, why Havoc is ahead, why DJ Paul is ahead. I could see Quick giving Hit some smoke.
Yeah.
You know
no, that's fair.
I could see Paul giving Hit some smoke, but some of these guys, we're looking at their top end stuff and not looking at the fact that they didn't really carry
overall
on
body of work.
Well, all I'm saying is a lot of these guys that get a lot of this credit, well, they had short runs too. I hate to break it to people. Marley's run was only for about 4 years.
You're right. And that's fair. And like I said,
Dre's real run, Mike, was only about 5 years. The real run was a 5-year run.
That's fair. And we got to look at what Hit Boy is doing and celebrate it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like Ye's run is a little bit different because I don't think we've ever seen an artist like him, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And about that, I'll sit him next to Dre and RZA. But the rest of these guys, it's like, no, I'm going to play these Nas records that Hit just did and try to beat me. with these guys. You're not gonna be able to do. I'm gonna start dropping some of that shit. Like I'm gonna drop 4016 building. It's gonna blow some of these guys out the water. I'm telling you.
What Hit did with this Nas pairing is super impressive, and
about-
not a lot of people have done these things. You know me, I always talk about this on the show. I'm impressed with what Kanye was able to do with Common at the time period that he did that, and maybe same thing with Pusha T and Daytona. When you get somebody who already has a way that they work. And you know what I mean? And they're more established than you are, and you're able to go out there and pretty much elevate them. That's a difficult thing to do. That's why Dr. Dre likes to take new artists, because he can mold them. You think Hit Boy's going to be molding Nas? No, you know what I mean? Like the fact that he's able to do this
that's absurd.
With somebody this established,
and
that's very impressive.
And probably this set in their ways
yeah,
to who they are.
That's impressive.
That's what I'm saying. So look at it like this. You like the main ingredient?
I love main ingredient.
Let me ask you something. I want you to be honest with yourself. Think about the beats that are on Magic and tell me that the beats on the main ingredient are better, Mike.
I think the beats on main ingredient are better.
I'll beat you. I'll beat you. Because here's what I'm about to submit to you. They're all made the same way. Mm-hmm. Every beat on Magic is different, Mike. Speechless don't sound like Meet Joe Black. Don't sound like Ugly. Don't sound like 4016. Don't sound like Wave God.
Okay, we got to play those back to back.
Rock, that's why I don't like the Pete Rock and CL Smooth stuff as much as everybody else. It's like, well, it's the same type of beat. It's just there's some more highs and lows to the. But it's not better than the Magic production job. It's definitely not better than the KD3 production job, and might not be better than the KD2 production job. He just did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I was giving that KD3. No,
that KD2. Different. That's what I'm saying. How about this? This is what I'm saying. Do you think Pete Rock can make a brunch on Sunday type of beat for Nas to get off on?
I think so.
Why
hadn't
not?
Happened. It hadn't happened.
Right. People keep talking about like what people can do, but it's like the reality of the matter is it hadn't happened.
Hasn't happened.
Because he can't do it. Hello. You do what you can when you're great. You don't limit yourself. You do all the things when you can. There's a reason that some of these guys don't have some of the things that Hit has. It's because they can't do it. Like when you talk about versatility, I love Havoc. He's not as versatile as Hit.
Is RZA as versatile as Hit?
No. But he's better overall because what he does when he's in his pocket is just better.
Quincy Hogan with the super chat says, anybody know about Larry Smith? Of course we do, man. Larry Smith revolutionized everything with the Run DMC and Houdini stuff. I think we had a conversation about him a couple of shows back.
See, but that's what I'm saying. Is he getting top 10 status for being revolutionary? Like, where's after those couple of projects? What then?
Well, I think it's similar to the Melly Mel conversation. I think that there's a different list for folks like that.
I like the Q-Tip Hit Boy thing more than I like the Pete Rock Hit Boy thing, and I'll tell you why. I don't think Pete Rock stands a chance against Hit. I don't think Pete Rock stands a chance against Hit because of the album making, because it's like, no, I can hit you with some Hit Boy cuts from these projects, but you do have those Tribe albums to hit me back with.
Yeah, Tribe
hit me back
tough.
And hit me back hard, and then you can play stuff up like Give Up the Goods. Now, I believe the last time that we did like a list or something, I think Q-Tip was about 8 or 9. And that's why I was like, yeah, hit about 10, as in like right there in that stratosphere.
Yeah.
And I meant that shit because that shit is solid. Like the quick thing actually makes me think, because that's West Coast. And I was even telling you, I hear Quick in Hit sound right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I would tell you, if you want to do an East Coast guy, I would say Q-Tip.
West Coast, Quick.
And we can kind of parse it from there, but I'm telling you, he has stuff to compete with those guys, which means, yeah, he in that top 10 conversation.
Stephon Young with the super chat says, Timberland is the best, Coop. It's funny, Coop picked Timberland against the Neptunes. I had the Neptunes. And what did you learn about Timberland's hip-hop production?
I learned I won't be doing that again. I won't be doing that again is what I learned.
He's a better R&B producer than he is a rap producer.
Sometimes your greatest gifts, Mike, can be your greatest drawbacks. You see, because I can do a lot, because I know a lot, I think I know every damn thing sometimes. Some of the dumbest shit I did. Because when we do this, do you ever feel like when you get blasted by me a little bit, do you feel the blast a little bit?
Yeah.
When you blasted me, I felt the blast. I was like, hold on. I was like, this is not going well. I'm like, hold on, let me play this record. I'm like, oh no, that's not going well. I'm like, hold on, this shit not going well. No, he's not a top 10 producer. Where the album?
I started out with Pusha T's Trouble on My Mind. And when the shit comes in, it's the blackout. Rory with the back out. Showing my, like, Timberland had nothing for that coming out the gate. I had
nothing for that. When you started off like that, I was like, I can't even front. You threw me for a loop when you started like that. I was like, what the fuck? I'm in trouble. And so respect the Timberland. That's one of those notoriety things. Timberland's a better beat maker than Hit Boy. He is not a better hip hop producer than Hit Boy.
Yeah.
He don't even have a KD1.
Timberland's incredible creative. I think that if you put a beat machine in front of this guy, nobody's fucking with Timberland. But when we're talking about transitioning this to actual songs, then you have roadblocks. I think I spoke about this on the last episode. Miss J, as dope as she is, it was trouble for her trying to adjust to Timberland's, you know what I'm saying, his production style. But when you nail the Timberland production style, you have a Missy, you have a J, and they can make great stuff, but not everybody can do that. Yeah.
How about
Timberland has to work with elite people.
In Missy and Jay-Z, you have probably the two best absorbers in music.
Yeah.
The ability to absorb the composition musically. Yeah. Geniuses.
You damn near have to be a genius to make some consistent dope records with Tim.
And even being a genius doesn't guarantee it.
It doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. So he's not top 10. And here's what else we have to do too, and this is what I realized.
Dilla's a better hip hop producer than Timberland.
Yeah. Oh, see, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
and I love Tim as an overall producer. Now, as an overall producer, I put him ahead of Dilla. But if we're talking about some hip hop, yeah, give me Dilla.
Well, here's the other part of that too, and this is what I'm saying. We got to separate this list because there are production teams and there are producers.
Yeah.
And when I'm saying Hit Boy's a top 10 producer, I'm saying like, yeah, there's a production team side that we need to explore. But as far as a one-man band, a real one-man band, yeah, he's top 10.
Yeah, I agree with that. T-Nitty with the super chat.
The Quick thing makes me worry because I'm not sure if I had Quick in my top 10. Quick and Paul and Hit and Q-Tip, for me, are all kind of like in a similar stratosphere, producer-wise.
T-Nitty with the super chat says, I know folks that are not into Priest say HM is classic.
That's what I'm saying. Mike, and I say this respectfully to you. It's like, and this is why I don't want to do it to Pete Rock. No, I love Pete Rock. You do not want to play those beats against these modern-day Hit Boy beats. Because here's the thing about it. This is why I'm telling you.
I'm confident.
No, you can be, but this is why you shouldn't be confident. Nah, ask yourself what those CL Smooth and Pete Rock projects sound like in relationship to the classics that their contemporary made. That's why I'm saying no Q-Tip, because it's like, how about this? Their best album might be on par with Tribe's fourth best album.
No, that's
you want to tote that out against Magic and KD2 and KD3?
I would say.
Go ahead if you want to. You're better off with the Low End Theory and Midnight Marauders, though. You feel me? Because if you play them Pete Rock records, I'm going to tell you what you're going to win. You're going to win The World Is Yours, and they reminisce over you. And I'm about to have a time with your ass.
True Master's crazy, too.
You might win True Master, but what? I mean, how about this? Do you think True Master's better than 4016 building beat-wise?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
No, I do.
I don't.
True Master's crazy.
I heard 4016 in the Garden. I'll never say that shit again. Mike, 30 better than most of those Pete Rock beats. That's what
True
I'm trying
Master's
to tell you.
one of the most underrated beats ever.
Mike,
Jay Short.
Like when I play that 30 on you, you're going to be like, yeah, I shouldn't have played no main ingredient shit. It's like, I know.
I'm willing to do that. Jay Short with the super chat says, do you guys think Kanye is better than RZA as a producer all time? I would say so.
I got them 2 and 3. I still have RZA slightly ahead.
I mean, the work that Kanye's put in and, the versatility, I give it to Ye.
Well, here's what I'm saying. As a producer, when your best stuff is still like your stuff, I'm not putting you ahead of guy that makes stuff for everybody else.
Is it his best stuff, though? Because The Game got Dreams. I think it's one of his best.
No. I mean,
Jay got The Blueprint. You know what I'm saying? Common got B.
Mike, remember when we did the Kanye list? And I told you, it's like I realized the biggest trick Kanye ever pulled off is that making you think that the songs he gave other people are better, and then you go play his hits. It's like, no, his best shit's his shit.
I'm still willing to do that Kanye versus where you got Kanye the producer versus Kanye the artist.
I'll take the artist.
Okay, I'll take the producer. I'm fine with that.
Catch this L.
I'll take the producer. Quincy Hogan with the super chat says.
Kanye's selfish.
Quincy Hogan says, in 2023, Hit is not touching Pete. Jay Short with the super chat says, I'm really surprised at all the Hit Boy hate in the chat. Some of these names don't even have Hit's resume. I wonder where this is coming from.
That's what I'm saying. When
and see, Jay Short is from the West Coast. I know what Jay Short's saying without saying it. This is that East Coast bias once again.
That's exactly what it sounds like. That's exactly what it sounds like. And here's where it is correct. It's like if it ain't Dr. Dre, it's like East Coast guys is like, well, no, we got guys better than that. It's like, no, you don't. The guys that you have better ain't put in work like you thinking in the last 20 years.
There's just a handful of people from other regions that East Coast heads will accept. Andre 3000 and Andre Young seems like.
Don't forget Face. Love some Scarface up in New York. Love Face.
They do.
But they wrong, Mike. Large Professor not better. Havoc not better.
You can't prove that.
Pete Rock not better. You don't have enough evidence. Listen to me what I'm telling you.
I mean,
how about this? How can you think that Pete Rock is better when Pete Rock's not better than Havoc? He ain't never made no shit like the infamous or Hell on Earth. Right.
I've never heard that argument.
Do you got some evidence to the contrary outside of they reminisce over you? How about this?
I'm more of a Pete Rock fan, but I'm listening to what you're saying and trying to be objective, and you may be correct.
Well, listen to what I'm saying. After they reminisce over you and The World Is Yours, well, you know how many more Mobb Deep classic records I got?
Well, I mean, I think Shook One's Part 2 and When They Reminisce kind of cancel each other out.
Correct.
So, yeah.
And so you got The World Is Yours? Oh, no, you in trouble because Havoc got Survival of the Fittest. I guess we can't give up the goods because Q-Tip did the drums.
Yeah.
Q-Tip, give that to Q-Tip.
Yeah, Q-Tip produced that.
We got Survival of the Fittest versus The World Is Yours. The World Is Yours is a better record, but that's what I'm saying. After cancel those two out, it's like, well, Mike, I got the rest of the Infamous and Hell on Earth to go off of. What you gonna play? I got G.O.D.
Pete Rock got a lot of stuff, too.
Not like Havoc. He don't got no Hell on Earth.
I think you sleeping on Pete. I mean, I'm down to do a Pete versus somebody.
I'm not sleeping on. How about this? You want to do Pete versus Havoc? Mike.
And that'd be fun.
Body.
I'm with that.
Body.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I think the quick matchup would be Eric Sermon. They're both rooted in the Parliament/Zap funk style.
I think Eric Sermon is a good comp.
I think so too. Eric Sermon has a great discography. You and I did a Pete Rock and Eric Sermon, I think, on the Patreon, right? It was Eric Sermon and somebody.
I feel like we did. I felt like that might have been Havoc.
Was it Havoc?
I feel like we did Havoc.
Nah,
I gotta check.
It was. I think it might have been Eric.
Ooh, so what you think? A little DJ Quick Hit Boy and a little Havoc Pete Rock?
Yeah.
I'm gonna body you with Havoc. Listen to what I'm saying. All you cats up in New York thinking Pete got it like that versus Havoc, I'm about to body you.
Y'all have nothing to worry about, Pete Rock fans.
Yeah, you do. Pete
I'm
Rock
a Pete
and
Rock
CL Smooth
fan.
didn't make no big records like that. I'm sorry. Like, it wasn't like that. Mobb Deep was like that. Like, what you got for Quiet Storm? Body.
Okay.
Right.
Nah, I'm with that.
What you got for It's Mine?
Oh, I got stuff.
Where you from with 8 Ball? No, you don't. How you want it with Cormega? No, you don't. Mike, Eye for an Eye with Nas and Raekwon? No, you don't. Right Back at You with Ray and Ghost? No, you don't. Drink Away the Pain with Q-Tip? No, you don't. Body.
Okay. I'm with it.
You're going to win maybe 4 records, Mike. Maybe.
The disrespect, man.
The disrespect ain't hard. It's real. Havoc is better than, Mike, the Infamous or the Main Ingredient?
The Infamous.
Right. Well, then you about to take a real big L because that's his best stuff is right there, and I have Hell on Earth and Murder Music, and it's going to be bad.
I got stuff.
I'm going to tell you what you're going to win. You're going to win The Saga Begins with Rakim, The World Is Yours, Trouble T. Roy, and
I might not win Trouble T. Roy because you got Shook Ones.
No. I think Trouble T. Roy is better than Shook Ones, actually. Like, that's just me
That's right.
personally.
You're not a big Shook Ones fan like the rest of us.
I'm a fan of the verse. It's the verse for me. Everybody knows it's the verse, too.
Quincy Hogan with the super chat says, "I'll take that challenge."
And True Master.
Cool.
Those are the 4 records you're winning. You're winning those 4 records. Other than that,
True
I'm going to
Master's
put you in
crazy.
a body bag. Like,
No, this is gonna be fun. You don't like Down with the King?
I'm gonna beat that, Mike.
Quincy Hogan.
Mike, what you play Down with the King? I'm gonna play Eye for an Eye.
What do you guys think? Quincy Hogan with the super chat says, "I'll take that challenge, Coop."
All of y'all can take that challenge. Help Mike make a list. It's gonna be bad because I can think of about 30 Havoc records. Mike, I ain't talking about playing the setup yet, or Shoot 'Em Up, or Live Nigga Rap. Yeah, you in all types of trouble. I wouldn't do that.
Well,
I might be petty and just play Why by Jada Kiss like Mike. Here's your chance. Here's your chance.
I know we don't have a whole lot of time today.
Last Day by the Locks and Big. Yeah, you're in trouble.
I'm not a big fan of Last Day, to be perfectly honest with you.
Better than most of the stuff. That beat better than most of the beats on Main Ingredient. You're in all types of trouble.
Nah, I'll take you there as a classic too. Real quick,
Catch this body.
what I was gonna say was we were talking about labels. That's what we were talking about. Best hip hop labels of all time. And I think that the topic of Cash Money last week made me think, where does Cash Money stand when it comes to all-time hip-hop labels?
High.
I think very high.
High. Extremely.
Def Jam's the only one I could really think that I could just objectively just say
in a vacuum, Death Row was better. But
in a vacuum.
But not as long because Death Row had 1 era. Cash Money's had 2. Going into 3 now.
Let's look at the Death Row albums, right?
They ain't fucking. No, don't do that to Cash
You
Money.
got
They're trying to talk
The Chronic.
Cash Money.
You got The Chronic, Doggy Style,
Dog Food.
Dog Food,
All Eyes on Me.
All Eyes on Me.
Murder Was the Case soundtrack.
Yeah, then you got soundtracks like Murder Was the Case, Above the Rim, and then you got
That's enough.
Machiavelli.
That's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough.
They did a lot in a small time period. Would you put Death Row over Cash Money long term? I mean, I don't want to say long term all time.
Yes, but much about the RZA conversation that we just had is why I would put Death Row high. It's like, well, I know Cash Money's been better longer. Now go show me the catalog again. Because I don't see no Doggy Style, no fucking Chronic. How about this? Baller Blocking and Murder Was the Case to tell you all you need to know about their labels in their original peak.
What? That's true. Their original, but see, their peaks are, man, they have two different peaks.
Death Row only had peaks. They didn't have no valley.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, I guess you could say technically their valley was in the late 90s because they still existed. They did. I mean, Daz put out an album. Lady of Rage put out an album.
Did they?
Nate Dogg put out an album.
The Nate Dogg album was fire.
We just try to act like, you know, that time period for Death Row doesn't exist. It's kind of like Idlewild, right? So that, if we want to count
what
that.
What you talking about, Mike? What?
We try to act like that stuff doesn't exist, like Idlewild.
What stuff? I don't know what you're talking about.
The Lady of Rage album, the Daz album. Death Row was around until, I mean, they were putting out albums until the 2000s, right?
Well, I mean, Mike, at the start of the beef, they started Death Row East, you know what I mean? So they were pretty big.
And the truth of the matter is, Cash Money Records never really fell off. They had that one period.
No, they fell off.
No, they had one period where everybody left. And Birdman was jumping out as, you know, trying to be, you know, the star. And then Wayne stepped up. They had a period where they were just kind of transitioning their label into something else. And they've kind of been up ever since.
Technically up, musically not so much.
You don't think so? You don't think that the Drake, Nicki, and Wayne three-headed monster carried them over?
It plays very well song-wise.
Do you think?
But record labels tend to, you know, make albums. This isn't like 1959 Motown getting started, Hitsville, USA. People make albums now.
I think the second wave of Cash Money is more about singles.
Right.
And I think that they did that successfully.
What, you talking about like the Wayne, Nicki, Drake run?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're not better than Death Row, because great songs don't beat great albums.
Yeah, see, I think that's where you and I fundamentally, I guess,
like
differ.
Mike, I can beat everything Nicki, Drake, and Wayne did in that peak with All Eyes on Me alone because that album is like that. Like, I could play All Eyes on Me, book one, and you play their 10 biggest songs, and I'ma beat you with just Tupac on All Eyes on Me. That's why it's not like that. You get what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but I think that
because musically,
singles are very valuable.
Right,
though.
but musically, you have to start comparing things. And when you play they best stuff versus they best stuff, they gonna get thrown out. They gonna get shot out.
I don't know if I can even put Death Row over Aftermath as a label.
Shit, I can.
Is it really?
Easy.
Do you think so? You think it's that easy? Aftermath has a lot of heat.
Do you think it's that easy to make the Chronic and Doggy Style?
Because Get Rich or Die Trying counts under the Aftermath.
Once again, I'm going to say it again. Do you think it's that easy to make the Chronic or Doggy Style? Because evidence has shown that they couldn't do it again because they had Get Rich or Die Trying in the documentary 2 years apart, and that's the best shit that they did.
They got 2001. That counts too.
Does that count as Aftermath?
Yeah, that is Aftermath. That's the Chronic of the Aftermath.
Yeah, give me Death Row still.
You got 2001. And, you know, you got the Eminem Show, Marshall Mathers LP. You got Get Rich or Die Trying. You got the documentary. You got Good Kid, Mad City.
Stop doing that Good Kid, Mad City.
That's Aftermath. The sticker's on there, man. It is what it is. It's Aftermath.
Okay, let me ask you something. What's the format that we're doing? We're doing this like a versus format? Like we're playing 20 songs from the label?
Oh, you talking about doing that? I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
So.
Like.
Okay.
What are the conditions?
Yeah.
Under what?
I think that's a good way to put it.
Under what conditions would you say that Aftermath or Cash Money's better? Because what I'm saying is that because when you're talking about these records, I'm like, oh, you really want to play those records versus Death Row's best records?
That would be interesting.
You want to play those records versus Death Row best records?
That would be interesting.
Mike, you think Dreams from the Game is about to go far against Death? What?
That would be interesting.
What?
So the Aftermath catalog versus the Death Row catalog. Now, we already know Eminem stuff's not going to play that well, right?
I like how you split them in, though. I appreciate you growing, Mike.
I mean, you know, he's too big not to put him in there. T Nitty with the super chat says the Beat Miners are better than Hit Boy. Y'all are wild.
Y'all are wild.
Prove that. You know, it's kind of like,
like saying
when
beating
people tell me, or when I heard people saying that Rihanna's better than Beyonce, I'm like, you're going to have a tough time proving that on stage. How you going to prove that?
I prefer Rihanna to Beyonce, but I'm
She's
not about to
better.
say that. I ain't about to say that.
You can't prove it.
I don't have,
You know what I'm saying?
I don't have enough evidence to prove that,
You
Mike.
can't prove
I don't have
it.
enough evidence to prove
So
that.
prove to us the Beat Miners are better than Hit Boy. How?
Man,
How can you prove that?
And prove some of these guys that you got higher are better.
Yeah. Jay Short with the Super Chat says, are we counting Loud as a hip-hop label? And let's be honest, how many all-time classic albums did Def Jam put out in the 90s? I think that's fair.
Because It's Dark and Hell is Hot is the only one that really sticks out in my mind.
I think your format is interesting, though. If we're taking 20 songs in a versus format.
Or maybe 25 because we're dealing with a label and not an artist. 25 songs?
I don't know, man. Listen, I just picked Death Row up against Wu-Tang. And I think I did a pretty good job representing Death Row, so I'm very cognizant of their catalog and what to play. But I got to really look into this Aftermath thing, man.
Because how about this? 2001 and Get Rich or Die Trying and the documentary. I don't want to call them tier 2 classics because they're not, but they're kind of like on some 1B shit compared to like that first book of All Eyes on Me, Doggy Style, The Chronic. As much as I love it, it ain't that. I've always told you this, Mike. The songs on 2001 aren't better. The production's better.
I was just about to say this,
like Lil Ghetto Boy is superior to everything on all three of those albums.
I'm not mad at that.
I can give you one record for The Chronic, and I'm like, I can play this one record, and it's better than all that shit on those 3 albums.
I'm not mad at that, but this is what I will say. I think that the singles on 2001 are stronger than the singles on The Chronic. You don't think the next episode's stronger? You don't think Still DRE stronger? You don't think
No.
You don't think that the next episode's stronger than everything other than G-Thing, of course?
Let Me Ride, Dre Day? No.
I love Let Me Ride. I was just listening to Let Me Ride yesterday, but
Don't. I think that's crazy.
I think Still DRE is a better single than Let Me Ride.
I think you're crazy.
Really?
I do.
I feel comfortable matching those singles up. The problem with Aftermath is there's no Snoop Doggy Dogg. That's the problem. That's where my trepidation is. And that's how powerful somebody like Snoop is.
I'm gonna play like Afro Puffs and beat you, Mike. That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm not even worried.
Nah, I can possibly use some of Eminem songs versus Afro Puffs, I guess.
Eminem don't have a song better than Afro Puffs.
See, he said this. I didn't.
I'm serious.
I know you're serious.
I think Afro Puffs is one of the best rap songs ever, though, Mike. Because it is.
I didn't even play it.
That shit hard.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You talking about Death Row?
John Wayne with the super chat says, "Talk to him, Coop. You ducking that smoke?"
Not ducking anything.
Okay. All right. So based on
we need to figure out which battle we picking.
I'm interested in this Aftermath Death Row thing. I know we just did a Death Row thing, but I know it would be very entertaining, man.
We might have to hold off on that, though.
It would be so entertaining. The music would be so banging, man.
The music is there.
The music would be so banging.
Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, you ain't got nothing for No Murder Was the Case. You don't have nothing.
I got Kendrick records.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to beat Gin and Juice, Mike, and the Shiznit. I don't think so.
Now, I'm going to have to put Get Rich or Die Trying on Doggy Style.
The Shiznit played in the car today, Mike. I was like, yeah, Mike, there ain't nothing on Get Rich or Die Trying that feels like that. Listen to me, feels like that when it comes on.
Andrew Williams with the super chat says, "Mike, if you think Aftermath of Cash Money has a chance against Death Row, you are smoking roses.
Right.
Death Row just have greater music.
Right.
Still DRE is all you get."
I don't even know, Mike. I'm not gonna let you get that. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, no, I got records. We got plenty of records better.
Fuck
than
it,
that.
let's do it. I want to do this. I want to figure out which label's better, Aftermath or Death Row.
Watch this, Mike. You gonna play Still DRE? I'm gonna play What's My Name by Snoop. Victory.
Incredible record.
Victory. That's what I'm saying.
But you know what?
For every record that you have, Mike, I have a better record with a better artist. As in Snoop and Pac are better than Game and 50. Hello.
Well, you know what?
Hello.
This is the thing.
Message.
If Eminem was everything that people say he was, this wouldn't be a problem. But this is a problem because he's not.
Mike.
This is a problem.
Play some Dog Pound records. You're gonna catch this fade.
I don't even know if I'm gonna get an Eminem record in there.
Catch this fade.
Maybe Lose Yourself. I don't know.
Food's the weak album in this set. You in trouble.
Yeah.
When Dog Food's the worst album that came out of a record label, you are in trouble.
I'm willing to do it though, because I want to see if Aftermath even can compete with Death Row. And Aftermath has the longevity, you know what I mean? So I got more stuff to pull from. You have a shorter window of time and I guess a stronger run in that way.
I don't envy you at all right now.
Okay. I'll take the underdog in this one. I think Aftermath is clearly the underdog.
I'm more confident in this than I am the whole Pete Rock Hit Boy thing. I'm like looking
Wow.
at you like, oh, you gonna let me play the Death Row catalog? Oh, it's about to be a real gangster party.
John Wade said, I read what he said wrong. He says, Coop, Mike read my thing wrong. I was referring to Eminem debate with Stevie McKnight regarding his ranking.
Yeah, well, there's one of our followers on Twitter wants us to debate this guy Steve McKnight that's got Eminem fairly high up on his list, and I just
Who is Steve McKnight?
I mean, I think he does a pod too, but I mean, just respectfully said, it's like, well, you don't want to do that.
What does he want to debate? What's his premise?
I mean, I don't know. Apparently, we have Eminem a little too low because he's in our 30s on our list.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know what he wants to debate. He probably wants to debate his top 5 or
Well,
10
he's
status.
probably going to just go to the numbers, right? And he's probably going to go to his impact on white America or something like that, you know. I never go there, but I'm just saying that's normally where people go. Or he's going to go the syllable route, you know, and all of that stuff and how many words he's able to fit in a sentence and stuff like that.
That's why I told him he don't want to do it.
Yeah,
It's not fair. And also, too, Mike, I mean, I think you've done a very, very good job about being honest about some of your Eminem feelings. I'd rather not rehash them on the show all over again. I feel like we've gotten to a positive and productive place with Eminem and some of the speech concerning Eminem. I don't want to take the conversation back to the depths. He's ranked where I think he should be ranked for catalog and album.
T Nitty with the super chat says, Mike, here's your proof. He's talking about the Beat Miners. He says, Enter the Stage, The Shining, Nocturnal, Total Eclipse, Black Moon Rises, Heads Not, I'm sorry, Black Moon Rises Heads, Not Ready single, Gotcha Open remix, Murder MC single. Dope records.
Mike, what the hell is he talking about?
Joe Young with the super chat says,
what in the hell is he talking about?
Joe Young with the super chat says, Busta Rhymes album, The Big Bang on Aftermath 06. That was on Aftermath. I'm probably not going to use any of those records, to be honest with you. But
Mike, do that if you want to, too.
I love my chick. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm going to really play anything from there.
The stuff people be saying is just wild, man.
John Wayne with the super chat says, to him, M is the GOAT. Well, I would like for him to explain that, you know, but I don't know. Is there really a debate there? I mean, it sounds like he's just hanging on to a narrative that he can't prove.
Like most of these guys are hanging on to these producer narratives that they can't prove. Real quick, give me your top 10 producers.
I mean, that's such a loaded question. Top 10 hip-hop producers.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go Dre.
Yeah.
I have to go Ye.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go RZA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think Marley deserves to be there.
Of course.
Okay.
I have to go Marley.
After those 4 guys, what? That's what I'm saying. What?
Then we start,
Primo?
obviously, Preem, right? That's 5.
Mike.
Now we got to start really.
Right.
Yeah.
Those 5 are pretty clear. And then after those guys, it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, then you got your favorites. And then, but, you know, again, if I'm looking objectively, the work the Hit Boys put in,
I told you, Mike,
it's
how many
very tough to leave him out of that conversation.
Listen to what I'm saying. How many producers have made 4 albums like this? Because their name's not Pete Rock.
And you know what? And I'm not naming teams. I'm not naming track masters.
Right.
Like I'm naming
we got
individuals.
Track masters conversation, Mike.
Yeah.
They might be the best production team ever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm naming individuals and not teams.
Organized Noise and Trackmaster's been sticking out in my mind as far as production teams lately.
Yeah, the Neptunes too, but again, I think Neptunes is more of an overall
You showed
thing.
me something with the Neptunes thing, Mike. Maybe not the album makers outside of Hell Hath No Fury, but got so much stuff song-wise outside of Hell Hath No Fury that they're definitely going to be like on the top 5 side of the group production list side, even for hip-hop, because they did shit like Shake Your Ass and all that too.
Yeah.
And Super Thug.
Yeah.
Right. No. They did that.
They did that while splitting time with 3 other genres, while making nerd albums.
And making Clips albums.
Yes.
And making Re-Up Gang shit.
Yeah.
No, so they're up there, but as far as like a solo mission, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. If we're talking solo mission, then that's elite company.
Right. Do you think DJ Paul?
I mean, him and Juicy J share a lot. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm just throwing some people out.
Yeah, I mean, objectively speaking, I prefer DJ Paul.
So after those
but
5?
Yeah, objectively speaking, I still might go hip.
So after those 5, I actually do think Q-Tip and Quick.
Mm-hmm.
6, 7.
Those guys.
Okay, after that,
What do you think about Just Blaze in these conversations?
not in this part of the conversation.
Yeah, because he never really proved end-to-end album making, right? And he comes from an album making era.
Correct.
And you know his stint was slightly short. You know what I'm saying? Once the samples kind of got out the way, it really wasn't.
Like there are guys
much
that I love
going
too,
on.
Mike. Like I've always said this on this show a lot. Like I love Nasheem Myrick from Bad Boys Hitman. It's like Nasheem not making this top 10, fam.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's my thing. I got a lot of personal favorites.
And I got some personal favorites, like not making it. Like I'm being objective about the people. That's why I'm like, no, I love having DJ Paul, but it's like, objectively speaking, I'm thinking like, nah, hit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Jay Short with the super chat, he says, I don't think y'all give South enough love in these verses. I love to see a No Limit versus Cash Money or a Tennessee versus Texas battle. I would love to do that Tennessee-Texas.
I don't like dividing my region.
Give me Memphis, yeah. TJ with
Best case,
the
I'll take Atlanta
$50.
and beat you, though. I'll take Atlanta and beat you if you're taking Memphis.
I would love to take that. I hate going against my
Shame on
city.
you taking out of towners.
But see, I can't do that because if I lose, people will think I'm throwing the fight. Anyway,
like I'll tell you the truth.
I can't
Mike,
really do my best.
Like Mike, I'll tell you the truth. It's like, oh no, I'm not picking North Carolina.
TJ with the $50 super
Atlanta.
chat. We got a $50 super chat here showing love, super love. He says, Mike, the article you read on Friday about M's top 20 to 25 songs was very entertaining, LOL. But you have a great point regarding M being embarrassed in the verses. Lupe will have a field day with him, but M is regarded as way superior artist. Is Lupe underrated before we get out of here?
Not by his fan base that thinks he's the greatest lyricist of all time.
Okay.
His fan base thinks he's the greatest lyricist ever, so.
I think Lupe came in during a time that the industry was kind of transitioning over to some other things. Right. I think if Lupe would have made those same albums, especially the first two albums, 5 years later, I think they would have been held to the level of Cole's projects and Kendrick's project.
I personally think The Cool is still better than anything that J. Cole's ever made.
I think so too.
And if I was rating it in relationship to Kendrick's projects, I think it's better than Damn, more enjoyable than To Pimp a Butterfly.
I think if
but
Lupe,
it's better than Damn. It's better than Damn.
If Lupe would have dropped The Cool around 2013-ish, I think it would have got viewed like Born Sinner from Cole, which is highly regarded. Born Sinner is highly regarded in Cole's catalog.
It's not fucking with The Cool. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. I'm just saying. I think Lupe is about timing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How about this though? But if he releases The Cool in 2011, people don't feel the same way about Good Kid, Mad City. That's how good that album is.
I agree with that. Especially if he's new. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I mean, if it's fresh.
Being new means a lot. If you come out the gate with something, and that's why I said about the Killer Mike album. Killer Mike would have came out the gate with this album that he just released. Yeah. I think it would be taken in way differently.
Yeah, we'd be talking about it differently.
Rigger 49er with a super chat says, M's Till I Collapse is fire. Great gym song. I'm not going to play it in our matchup. I'm not. Joe Young with the super chat says, Mike, you playing games. Touch It is a great song. Yeah, I'm not playing it up against Death Row shit, though. Come on, guys.
They want you to lose, Mike.
No, I'm not doing that. I mean, to even take Aftermath.
Here's how I feel about Aftermath's catalog. Picture Me Rolling can beat most of those records, which means you're not getting no ends. You feel what I'm saying? Like how about this? Look at Picture Me Rolling, the record, and place that on the Game's debut album or 50's debut album and tell me where you falls. Because I tell you it's a top 5 song on either one of those albums, and it's not a top 5 song on All Eyes on Me. You're in trouble. Picture Me Rolling.
All right. These are going to be the big ones that I'm going to have to pull from. Get Rich or Die Trying, obviously.
It's a definite.
2001. And the documentary and Pieces of Good Kid, Mad City.
No, that's fine. And so when you play Get Rich or Die Trying, I'm going to play All Eyes on Me, the first Get Rich or Die Trying. And when you play 2001, I'm going to play Doggy Style. And then I'm just going to step on the Game's album with The Chronic.
I'm gonna try to match up 2001 and the Chronic, and I'm trying to match up Get Rich or Die Trying with Doggy Style, and then kind of pick up the pieces with everything else.
This is what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. I don't have to play any Chronic records. I can just use the Chronic records for rebuttals. I can lead off with the Doggy Style and the All Eyes on Me stuff, and I can just hold the Chronic records for a response, because the Doggy Style, All Eyes on Me stuff, I can start off strong with those and play those, and it's going to be hard for you to beat them. But I can respond to your records with Chronic records. Like, that's how dope Death Row catalog is. It's like, let me take the Chronic and sit the songs off to the side for what Mike has to play.
Well, let's do that. I want to do that.
No.
You know, and I'm really got to do my homework on this Aftermath catalog, because I think there's something there. I can't pick. I don't have any room for mistakes. And again, and I say this to say, I mean, I wish Eminem's catalog was like y'all say it is.
Hold on,
because I would have some more ammo, but I don't really have his catalog to count on.
Let me ask you something, and then we can start to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Mike, you could feel how intense and intent that I was when I was picking my Wu-Tang records against Death Row.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
Mike. And I played their best shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was rough.
Yeah.
It was hard. You were playing these records. I was like, oh my God. It's like, I was like, I got to start spinning my big records now. Like about 3-4 songs in, I was like, you want to know what? I was like, we just going to have to go for gusto. Like, I played What's My Name at like song number. I mean, I played Cream at like song number 13, because you played What's My Name, and I was like, oh yeah. I was like, when you played What's My Name that early, I was like, I'm not winning shit.
I wish I had Snoop on Aftermath. I really do.
Oh,
but I don't.
If you had Snoop, I'd be bowing out.
Yeah. Again, I'm really got to lean on Chronic 2001 and Get Rich or Die Trying. Like, that's where I'm really leaning towards. I got to pick up the pieces here and there.
I don't envy you.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough. Before we get out of here.
You don't want to do the Pete Rock Hit Boy thing? I think you got a much better chance.
I think I would have a better chance in that
I think
one.
the East Coast people will get behind you. You know what I mean? And I
think these songs would just be so entertaining, man.
No. It will be more entertaining. We can do that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Mike, pick the all-time great East Coast producer of your choosing. That's not Preem, RZA, or Marley, and I'll take Hit. Like, I'll let you go through the catalog and be like, you want to know what? I think I can, because I'm telling you, the only guy that people think is better than Hit that might still be is Q-Tip, but that's about that early work.
Yeah, it is about that early work, and I think that'll be entertaining too.
Yeah, but you can take Pete Rock, Large Pro, Havoc. You can pick.
I mean, what we'll do is we'll put a poll out there and ask the people. You know what I'm saying? See which one they want to see. 36 Chambers with the super chat.
I would like to see DJ Quick versus DJ Paul when I thought about that, because that's like classic down south versus classic West Coast.
Well, yeah, that's going to be a whole, I guess whatever your taste is type of thing too. I would love to pick DJ Paul for one of these things. I'm a fan.
I'll take Quick. I'm a fan of Quick.
Yeah.
That's through Cuz.
36 Chambers with the super chat says, if Wu couldn't beat Death Row easy, then thinking that Aftermath could compete is laughable.
That's what I'm trying to say.
No way this matchup isn't a blowout for Death Row.
That's what I'm trying to say, Mike. I made it competitive.
Listen,
I made it competitive, Mike. I had Cream and Ice Cream.
I don't think
can it all be so simple, and chest boxing and Protect Your Neck and Triumph and Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with, and Glaciers of Ice, Incarcerated Scarface.
But my thing is,
I'll be there for you. Brooklyn Zoo. It's like, no.
Why do people feel like this though? Because Eminem's catalog ain't like that. Because all of his albums are on Aftermath. This should add something. He got like 9 albums on Aftermath.
Now here's what I will tell you. The most legitimate, indictable thing that I've heard you say about him might have been just that.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it's like, well, everybody thinks that you're crazy for picking Aftermath, and this man's entire catalog is sitting on Aftermath.
Yeah.
No.
Imagine if Tupac had 9 albums on Death Row. And you see how...
I'm not taking another label.
You know how much I was able to use Pac with just 2 albums on Death Row?
No, Mike, you abused Tupac, and I'm about to and I'm about to one up you. Tupac, I might play half the records might be Pac.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not even lying. It's like, no, it might be, if it's 25 records, it's like, no, I can play 12 Pac records.
So all of y'all that think that I'm crazy for picking Aftermath, where do you have Eminem ranked?
You want to know? No.
You know what I'm saying?
How about this? Imagine this, Mike. Imagine if just Tupac's whole regular catalog was on Death Row. Damn, having 9 albums.
Exactly.
Just imagine if Brenda's Got a Baby, I Get Around.
Exactly.
Keep Your Head Up. Dear Mama.
Exactly.
Temptations. Death Around the Corner. So Many Tears. Throw that in. I beat you with Tupac. I could beat, look. If I had all of Pac stuff, I could beat Aftermath with Pac. I wouldn't need Dre or Snoop. I could just play Pac shit and beat you. I got 25 Pac songs in this catalog that pretty much catch this fade.
The Eminem Show is probably his best album, right?
Above the Rim.
I'm probably not even going to be able to play any songs from there.
Above the
you know
Rim
what I mean?
Too? I get Above the Rim too? And Murder Was the Case?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, before we get out of here, man, 50 Cent just celebrated a birthday, and we were talking about 50 Cent's Hook Game last week.
Supreme.
What are some of your favorite 50 songs? If you could get like a top 5 50 Cent song.
Many Men.
I got that on mine. Heat is one of my favorites. Personally.
Hold on. No, that's not one of mine. Many
Hustler's
Men.
Ambition.
Hustler's Ambition is one of mine too. Put that on there. Mike, What Up Gangsta?
What Up Gangsta's crazy.
What Up Gangsta's
You know what?
crazy.
I don't know how I left that out.
What Up Gangsta?
But you know what I did put? The intro to the second album, In My Hood. That shit is hard.
It is. I don't know if it's top 5 for me. I'm with you. Hustler's Ambition, Many Men.
What Up Gangsta?
What Up Gangsta?
Did you like Ski Mask Way?
I did, but I didn't love it. But it's there.
The Out of Control remix with Mobb Deep was crazy, but I don't count that, man, you know. That's the last, in my opinion, great Dr. Dre production that I remember.
Mike, I mean, you want to know what? I do love, I know you like My Style. Like My Style was always one of my favorite records. I fuck with
Shout out to Rockwilder.
That's one of my favorites. I'm trying not to pick like the obvious like single stuff.
Did you like Crime Wave?
No.
That was, man, Crime Wave was hard. It's a record that he did on a DJ Drama mixtape. I forgot what it was called. It was called Double Up. That shit was hard.
Actually, Mike, you want to know what? I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Ghetto Quran.
Yeah, Ghetto Quran is a classic.
Ghetto Quran.
It's what
Mike,
started everything.
Mike, this is what I mean. People forget this. You know who produced Ghetto Quran, right?
I don't.
Trackmasters.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they did a lot of his early stuff. I should have been able to
They the
guess
one that took him to Columbia with Nas. That's what I'm saying. People like and I was talking to Taj about this when we did the Twitter space. You know, me and Taj did a Twitter space.
How'd that go?
It went really well. We didn't get to dig into it. Was written like I planned on, but it's like I was explaining to people, you know, Tone and Polk, Trackmasters is from Brooklyn. You know they produced.
Why do they go so understated?
You know they produced for Cool G Rap and for Roxanne Shante and for LL and for Foxy.
Insane.
And Nas is watching all of this happen. Like, they were producing for Cool G Rap and Roxanne in 92. That's the bridge. He known these guys forever. So it's like, what he doing with Trackmasters? Like, you know them niggas from Brooklyn. He from Queens. That's right next door. They been over in Queens doing stuff for Roxanne and Cool G Rap. They were doing Il Nana, Mr. Smith.
Yep.
People like, how you get up with Trackmasters? It's like, well, that's how.
Yeah.
Trackmasters took 50 to Columbia.
Yep.
They're the ones that produce Power of a Dollar, Mike. Part of the reason why Power of a Dollar sounds so good, even though 50's not all the way there yet, Trackmasters.
We got Andrew Williams.
You know
with the
How to
super
Rob?
chat.
How to Rob is Trackmasters. That's Pope.
Yeah, I know that. It wasn't. Hold on. Was that not Mad Rapper? That was still Trackmasters.
It's Trackmasters.
Okay. Andrew Williams with the super chat says my favorite 50 song is "Good Die Young." 50 got joints, man.
He does. I like God Gave Me Style.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
His hook game. What do you think about him as a beat picker? Because we don't really give him a lot of props in that light.
Above average, but not excellent.
Not, you know.
Not excellent. Not a Rick Ross.
Yeah.
But the next step down. But hook game top 3, maybe the.
I think 50 feels like he can make beats better with what he brings to the table, and he does.
Yeah.
A lot of the times. I think that's really the difference between Get Rich or Die Trying and everything else is probably the production, to be honest.
How much of that was 50?
Yeah. The consistency in the production. Because The Massacre has its moments, but it's not end to end that other album.
Here's the reality of the matter. You can tell Drake carefully wove Get Rich or Die Trying and wasn't involved with the other projects, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows.
Yep.
And so, yeah, he's a
Well, that's where his greatness shines through, though.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. What's your favorite 50 guest appearance?
You know, off the top of my head, it's So Seductive, man. The way he came in on that Yayo record, 50 Cent, back on this gangster shit. It's like he changed the whole color of that record.
Mine is Bonafide Hustler by Young Buck.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're picking G-Unit shit, but that's my favorite one. They say heaven's for churchgoers and hell's for the heathen, so I'ma just ball the fuck out while I'm breathing. Eighth after eighth. What you know about that fast flip, crack spot, fiend sucking on that glass stick? Man, Shay stay asking for a dime for 9. I tell you what, I'll hook you up this one last time. Oh, that's my shit.
Hey, I like him on, How We Do, too, at the game. He was going in.
Yo, he body game on
Yeah,
How We Do.
I put Lamborghini's on that Esca. Yeah, he was going in
You
on
want to
that.
know what, Mike? That might be his best guest appearance.
He went
how
in
about
on
this?
that
His
shit.
flow on there. His flow on there is crazy.
I got a sick vent. Cheddar, get that. Cheddar. Yeah.
Tip redder, my flow sound better
Better
than average. On tracks,
I'm savage. I damage.
Any nigga trying to flow on my click.
Yeah. Yeah, Rigger 49er with the super chat says, what are great workout albums to y'all?
Get Rich or Die Trying was my great workout album. I was like in my 20s. Like, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, there it is.
What Up Gangsta, come on. I'll be like, yeah. Go ahead, hit these curls, hit these push-ups, get started.
You know what? A good one, man, is Culture. The way Culture starts, it's bangers, man.
Not funny?
Migos.
Not funny? That was my ex-wife's favorite workout album.
Yeah.
She got back into shape in the Culture. I remember every day I would come home and it's like a fucking T-shirt would be playing or fucking Slippery.
Because that shit goes from T-shirt, the Cass Calling, Bad and Bougie, then you got Slippery, Get Right With You. Or
Bad
maybe
and
it's
Bougie
Get
is
Right
such a
With
moment.
You.
Slippery's after
Yeah, it's Get Right With You, then Slippery,
It's
my
Get
bad.
Right With You, then Slippery.
Yeah. But those 5 songs,
Oh, that's
banger,
enough.
banger, banger,
Turn up.
banger,
Turn up.
banger.
Turn up. Yeah.
All right, well, we about to get up out of here, man. Wednesday, I know we probably gonna talk some more music or whatnot, but yeah, man, we just chopping it up about some underrated talk because I know a lot of people's talking about who's underrated, this and that. I think we need to explore those things more. I'm down to do the Aftermath Death Row thing. Let me say that before we leave.
I don't know why, but okay.
I'm gonna put a preliminary list together, and I guess we'll set a date for it. I mean, this ain't gonna be an easy
What,
task.
you gonna play East Coast Killer, West Coast Killer?
No, I'm definitely not fun. Yeah, that album's not gonna get touched.
Okay.
But you know what? I might mess around and see if I can fit a Marshall record in there. But the fact that you guys don't even feel like they got a chance says a lot about his catalog, in my opinion. Oh, I thought you were about to say something cool.
No. I'm trying to fix this mic. This
Oh,
mic's
okay.
been giving me a problem.
Well,
for
yeah,
a
we
minute.
got to make sure that's fixed next time then.
No. It's cool. It'll be fine. I don't mind holding the mic. It's just like the old stage days. But we are about to get out of here. I'll see you Wednesday. Back
Yes,
in
sir.
studio. Good
Yeah,
first-
make sure y'all
good-
hit like
good-
and subscribe.
Good first in studio show for Mondays.
Yes, sir. Y'all enjoy the rest of your week. We're going to holler at y'all Monday. I'm sorry, Wednesday. It is Monday.
Ooh, Jay Short said Trackmasters versus Hit Boy.
Trackmasters versus Hit Boy from Jay Short.